This is Rowena Dooley asking Soul Citizens to report for duty.
And greetings. Welcome back to Soul Citizens. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and thank you so much for being with us today. First weekend, June the 2nd of 2024, here with my good friend and co-host and co-producer, the one and the only Fastcart FC. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, and we are Griffin and Babyface, two of the hardest producers in the verse. You may have heard a few of our biggest hits, Soul Voices, Soul Talk, and Soul Citizen. And we used to be part of a group called The New Deal, but we had to change our name because it was already taken.
Thanks, buddy. Hey, it's BRL. Thank you, man. Good to see you. Hope you guys are doing good. We're happy, as always, to be here with you today, but unfortunately today we've got a bit of sadness as well. As some of you have already heard, we lost one of our team members. In fact, one of the newest members of our team, our good friend Nomad 1701. Many of you guys have known Nomad for quite a while. He has been in the Star Citizen community for many years, and a great supporter of not just the Soul Citizens, but he's been, I think almost every streamer I watch, I would see Nomad's name pop up in the chat somewhere.
Exactly, yep.
and not only seeing his name pop up, but to see subscriptions, gift subscriptions, just supporting the community so much. Buster the Destroyer, Yacht Club, Paul Shelley over at the Astro Pub. There's so many folks that he would sit on, and he was a streamer as well. And maybe that's where some of that came from. He understood the hard work that it takes to be a streamer with Star Citizen. And I would say that he had a tremendous love for this community, very knowledgeable brother, very soft-spoken, but just a genuine, just a big heart and a good soul. Any thoughts you want to say about him right now, Fastcart?
You could always count on him to recognize Star Trek references, no matter how vague. I think I made one reference that he didn't get, but other than that, you could always count on him for Star Trek references. People know him as Nomad 1701. 1701 obviously comes to the student number of the Enterprise. Nomad is one of the, or I guess, antagonists in one of the early episodes of Star Trek, the original series. And yeah, I wish. I mean. There's no better way to say this, but I wish we had more time to spend with him because I didn't get to know him nearly well enough.
Yeah. I think that's probably the most unfortunate aspect of it. This weekend, we got the news that he had passed away back in April. And we had just had a staff meeting on Wednesday talking about reconnecting with some of the folks. Because, if as many of you guys know, Soul Citizens is structured in a way where there's like 12 or 13 of us. And we do that deliberately, first of all, to get various opinions, different ways people gameplay, people with different gaming experiences to come on board and talk. Well, one of the other things that it does is that it doesn't put a lot of pressure on anybody to have to be on the show every week or even every other week. Most of them have an obligation of doing at least maybe one show per month. And we had just finished up a series with Nomad back, I think it was March and April, where he came in for like 2 or 3 shows, almost back to back. And it was really nice to have him on board. But like with all of our people, folks have families, they have real life. So sometimes when you don't see people, it's not that they're not a part of the team. It's just that they're doing real life things. They're doing stuff and someone else is filling in the gap. And so just recently, he was one of those folks and we hadn't, not unusual not to hear from him. But then we got the news, and a special thanks to both Yo-Yo Meg, who was actually attending a convention this weekend, and she got word through the Dallas community about his passing, and she immediately got that information up to Abdi and myself. I was unaware of it, and so it was definitely a shock to all of us here in Soul Citizens, but I'm sure even to many of you in the community. So we wanted to kind of just do a little tribute to him, dedicate today's show to him, because he was a very just beautiful person, and we will truly, as fastcart said, not be fortunate enough to have spent more time with him to get to know him better, but he was committed to this group and the people here, committed to you guys as a community, and as fastcart says, dedicated to Star Trek. In fact, fastcart, the picture that I showed, he was wearing this shirt and I had this shirt, and I didn't even notice it until I was prepping for the show this weekend that we both had the same United Federation of Planets shirt on. So when I looked at the picture last night, I said, hey, that's the same shirt I wear all the time. So I said, instead of putting on the Soul Citizen shirt today, I'm putting this on in good remembrance and great memories of a great guy, Nomad 1701. So we're dedicating today's show to him.
I'm going to admit the fact that he's one of the few people who didn't complain about my jokes. So there's that. Well, so much for that, right? Okay, so, so much for that.
That percentage is going out the window now. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into the show, and we are going to give some more information toward the end of the show for those folks who might get here a little bit late. Let's jump into it. This week's show is a topic that we have talked about. We've touched on it in previous shows before, and of course, as a group and as producers, we've talked about this topic, and not us, I'm sure the community has talked about this too. The question is, what is CIG going to do about money once Star Citizen comes out, once Squadron 42 comes out? I mean, once Squadron 42 comes out, we kind of get it. If the game does well, it'll make its own money. But if this long-term project for this company, for Cloud Imperium Games, is something that they want to do, how do you keep folks employed? How do you keep the lights on? How do you keep development going? How do you keep us coming back? A lot of that is due to revenue. There's 2 things, fastcart, they say that you need to make a game: time and money. And today we're going to be talking about the time thing. I mean, the money thing, rather. I'm sorry, the money thing, revenue.
Go ahead.
The
TLDR will be Star Citizen 2, the search for new money. People may not get that reference. Some people do.
What's going through your mind when it comes to this idea? Because you've been around a long time like me, and we're going to talk about the different ways CIG has brought money in historically in the past, what they're doing now. Then we're going to talk about possibilities for the future. But for you, fastcart, let's go back. Let's go back to Kickstarter, right? Very beginning. And I'm not going to talk about Kickstarter, but I want to go back to, were you worried about money coming in, or did it ever cross your mind in the beginning? Or were you just worried about how much money they wanted from you?
I'd like to remind people, I heard about the Kickstarter, but I wasn't really into the Kickstarter because like I said before, I was more the LucasArts kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave the Kickstarter pass, and then I backed 2 years later during the CitizenCon 2014. But I was surprised that they were bringing the money. I mean, pleasantly surprised. I was happy for the idea,
Yeah.
But I wasn't really worried about stuff like that back then because I wasn't a backer back then.
Yeah.
I had doing the Kickstarter in 2012.
Yeah, good point. Blue Z, I hear you. The search for the Brinks truck begins. That's exactly what's going to happen right now. We're gonna begin the search for the Brinks truck. So let's fastcart. Let's go ahead and start the search because we are going to. Let's give some historical stuff first. We'll give the historical and then we'll get into it a little bit later. Okay. So
yeah,
this idea of funding. It started out okay, let's do a definition because we always want to make sure everybody's on the same page, right? So this is one of the definitions I looked up. What is a revenue stream? A revenue stream is a source of income for a company, organization, or an economy. In business, revenue streams can be categorized as recurring, transaction-based, project, or service revenue. And later on, we're going to break those down for you guys, okay? But we want you guys to kind of keep that in mind about what is a revenue stream, okay? And the first one that Fastcart and I were just talking about was crowdfunding. This whole thing started out, and I wish I was around in the early days, and it's too bad we don't have Unique on, because Unique was around in the early days. And when I say early days, gang, we're talking before October 12th, whatever the date was of 2012, or the 8th of 2012. I'm talking about back in like July, like earlier before that, because there was already information going out about this game. There was already information going out talking about people being able to financially support it and to be able to build revenue for this great vision that Chris Roberts had. What you guys are seeing on the stream right now. And in fact, Fastcart, if you want to just very quickly look up that crowdfunding page and drop it in for everybody, because I don't think I put it. Did I put it in the page? I don't think I put it in the docket.
You don't have it here.
Okay. Could you look up real quick? Fastcart's going to drop in the link. For those of you who've never seen the crowdfunding page, and I'm sure there's some people out there who probably have never had it, make sure you click on this link and take a look at it, because this is kind of the beginnings of where this whole thing of raising money for a crowdfunding project began. There's information in there about what Chris Roberts wants to do. There's stuff about the vision. There's video information. I should have did it because I don't know why. Fastcart just dropped it in. There's the link there. There's a lot of information in there, and you'll see how people came into this idea of giving money for Cloud Imperium Games. Over the years, for those of you who don't know the history on this page, it opened up and closed in, when did it close, Fastcart? Was it November when they wrapped it up? It was like a month. Do you remember what the time frame was?
No, I want to say November.
This is getting to be ancient history.
I'm looking at the,
I know it's getting to be ancient history, guys. You have to forgive us old guys here, because we've it's been so much information. After a while, you just start to forget stuff. Not unless I'm gonna get you for that if you're watching the show. So it's kind of easy to kind of forget. There's again so much information, but let's see the crowdfunding. Yeah, see, they don't say when they wrapped it up.
They don't say.
No. But you can see
going after the fact.
Yeah.
The top of the page says $2.1 million, but they keep going after.
Right, but that's the number I do want to focus on is that the number of pledges that they got were 34,000 people, and they raised $2 million. Now, if you look underneath it, it says that was pledged of a $500,000 goal, right? I mean, that was the goal, was $500,000, but they ended up raising $2.1 million, right? And that was just unexpected. Go ahead.
I have it from the Star Citizen Wiki. It says October 10th they started. Then a week later, then it launched a Kickstarter on Kickstarter from October 18th until November 19th.
Because a month,
but,
right?
Started the Star Citizen 2042 October 10th. Started on their website, but the Kickstarter started on 18th.
Kickstarter started a little bit later. Okay, so it was the 10th. I wasn't completely crazy. Well, I was a little crazy. I said the 12th or the 8th.
Thank you.
I was in between. Yeah, I know. I am a little crazy. So anyway, to make a long story short, we just want to give you guys some background on this, but this is the way money came in. And as you guys know, eventually this number began to explode exponentially. Cloud Imperium Games actually ends up holding the Guinness World Book record for crowdfunding, right? And I think that was only like when we reached like, was it 30 something million or something like that, fastcart? Do you remember what it was when we got the Guinness?
I don't remember when it was the first time, but
we passed that long time ago.
Years now.
Right.
They did it in 2018 and then in 2023. So yeah.
Okay. So we dusted that long time ago, y'all. Okay. But this crowdfunding thing was an idea, and you can kind of see at the beginning here what are some of the things that got people fired up. Now, in fastcart, we got to say this now. If you guys look at that Kickstarter page, there's right below this picture, and right below the credit card icons, it says, "Real quick, Star Citizen is a rich universe focused on epic space adventures, trading, and dogfighting in first person. Single player, offline or online, drop in, drop out co-op play. Persistent universe hosted by them. Moddable multiplayer hosted by you." But here's the two lines I want to focus in on, fastcart. No subscriptions, no play to win. So I want to keep that in mind, because later when we start talking about what CIG will do, and I know there are plenty of people who will say things can change, I have a certain feeling about these two lines. No subscriptions, no pay to win. To me, these are, let me ask you a question. Would these be deal breakers for you if CIG decided to make this a subscription-based game?
I personally would be okay with subscription-based because I'm used to it. I mean, before a while,
so you have no problem. You have no problem that this thing kicked off saying no subscription.
I would have issue with them, going back on, how do you say, not go back on the word, but changing their mind.
That's going back on their word. Whoa. You trying to whitewash this. That's going back on your word. That's not changing your mind. That is going back on your word. This is they're saying this is what, listen, read the words. This is what Star Citizen is, not what it might be. This is what it is.
Girlfriend, this place 12 years ago.
and okay, so you're so okay. Now and listen, you're being honest. You said you have no problem with it. I have a tremendous problem with it. Tremendous problem. If I can't go back and reference stuff, you say I can give you some latitude for some things, right? Because this came up when they came up with the subscriptions for people buying Imperator and Centurion.
I was going to bring that up because technically the subscription already exists.
But it doesn't exist.
You're not paying for access to the game.
Exactly. And they had to clear it.
Star Citizen Live and Inside Star Citizen.
And they clarified that.
They decided to change that from subscription to supporting those programs and into like you have to pay a subscription in order to because I mean I don't think people I would have an issue if you had to do both.
Wait. Let me.
I'll be fine. If you had to do both, I have the issue with that.
I'm going to push back. When they first brought up subscriptions, the first thing people threw up was this statement from the Kickstarter. And CIG spent a lot of energy and effort to distinguish it, that those monies for subscriptions are not going toward game development, that it was for something totally separate and totally optional. If you implement subscriptions to this, it is no longer optional. It says you cannot play the game. So you're telling people who have spent thousands of dollars or tens of dollars or who've sat through years of development that if you don't pay us, you can't play this game now. You're saying that's okay.
I said it's okay for me.
So it's okay for you.
I would understand.
It's okay with you. It's okay with you. It is really okay with you. It doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother you that everybody else is going to get screwed. It's okay with you, right? Thank you. Thank you.
I've been waiting for this game to come out, so I'm just trying to get the game in my hand. Maybe I would care more if I had my Endeavor or my.
Y'all see how fastcart don't care about y'all? That's right. Get out the pitchforks. That's right, Shimpa. So y'all see he don't care about y'all. He gonna leave y'all out in the cold. He says, as long as I can play, here's my wallet. All right, we're gonna move on. But I do want to mention that because there are people who genuinely feel that CIG is going to do that.
I mean,
they do.
You move on.
Yeah, sure.
Can I just say?
Sure.
What about the pay to win part? Because people,
I haven't got to that yet. How
do you define pay to win?
I haven't got to that. They've defined. We've talked about what pay to win. We can talk about it now since it's right here. Do you think it's pay to win?
I do not think so, but I understand why people would think so because I mean,
Why do you think? Why do you think people think it's pay to win?
It's kind of like if you could buy the interest or the javelin by yourself, and you can buy it for all that money and fly it by yourself, I would consider that pay to win.
But it's not, right?
You have to, you have to have friends. You have to have orgs.
So answer the question.
Different people.
Answer my question.
Like
answer my question. Why do people think it's play to win?
Pay to win.
Pay to win.
Think it's pay to win because the more expensive chip you get, the more powerful they are, and more you can own people.
And are they right?
Not necessarily.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Y'all hear fastcart been in the middle of the day. You
can still be someone in F8 Lightning.
Wait a minute, say that one more time.
Someone in the Aurora can still beat someone in the F8 Lightning.
I understand that. So my question is, are they right?
I don't believe they're right. No.
Okay. So that in that particular case, I don't think they're right either. I don't think it's pay to win. Now, and I think you're absolutely right. The reasons why people think that is based upon how other games are. That's the answer I'm looking for. In most games, if you're willing to pay that extra money to get the bigger gun, that means you have the better that you will win. In this game, getting the bigger gun does not necessarily mean that you will win. It doesn't necessarily give you an advantage over anybody. That is their distinction. Now, there will be people who will feel differently about that. Absolutely. But I'm saying they're basing that feeling upon how the game industry has operated previously. Are you in agreement with that? Okay. So that one we're in agreement on for pay to win. Okay. We're in agreement for that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let's move past this one because we can move on to the next way that CIG has been doing things. Oh, I didn't read this about crowdfunding. As a crowdfunded project, Star Citizen Scope is based directly on the support provided by our backers. Money pledges go directly to the game's development. Stretch goals listed here are intended to reward early backers and to indicate how we are achieving Star Citizen's full vision. Okay, so that's from CIG, y'all. So that's their thing about how crowdfunding operates for them. Okay, and that's what you guys do is crowdfunding. Okay, now the next one we want to talk about are investors. Okay, now this article, I think the link is in here for this one, fastcart.
Yeah, I got it.
You can send that one out. This article here, we want you guys to, when you get time, feel free to take a look at this. Okay. But I'm just going to highlight or read the opening part in here on this particular link where it says, and this was in Massively Overpowered. This was written back in March, this is as of this year, March 19th, 2024. It says, when Star Citizen finally elected to post its 2022 financial report in the UK government and in related reporting since, you might have seen some people in the community comments shouting, the Calders, like they were trying to summon forth the Candyman. Those calls aren't by accident. In addition, reading and untying of the report has found important details about what CIG's investors boards looks like and what those investors expect in return. The Calders in question are Clive and Keith Calder, who invested in CIG in 2018 and 2020. There are obviously other minority investors as well. And Chris Roberts maintains the majority stake in the company and its investor board, but the Calders represent around 85% of the minority investors' interest. Okay, so I'm mentioning this because there are some people who don't know that CIG does have investors, right? Fastcart. In fact, in the beginning, they had more investors, right? In the early days, right?
In the early days, yes.
Yeah. And in fact, we remember there was one particular investor who was a backer who had donated a certain sum of money, and then eventually went to CIG and said, hey, I want my money back, because as they got to learn about the project and find out about the project, and they realized that their return on investment, their ROI, was not going to be something happening within a few years, they pulled their mony out. Do you remember what person I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. And tell people what that person continued to do after that if you want to. Do you remember?
They continued to talk and go forth on different podcasts and talk about Star Citizen in a, let's say, negative light.
Yeah.
You want to say it like that?
Yeah, that's you said it in a very diplomatic way. Yes.
Okay.
This person was upset. They weren't upset about the development and stuff. They were just upset because they found out is if you're an investor, it's not Derek Smart. It's not Derek Smart. This person had invested several thousands of dollars into the game, and when they found out, and if you're an investor at that level, you're going to get to see behind the curtain a lot more than we do. And once they kind of saw the projected thing, they just didn't want to wait on their money, and basically pulled out. But then they were upset because they felt like this is taking too long. It shouldn't take this long. But this person was not a game developer, by the way. They were just a game backer, very enthusiastic person about the game. They were volunteer and doing all types of stuff. But man, when they got behind the curtain, they couldn't take it. They couldn't take it.
All I want to say is I hope he's happy over at Star Atlas now, because I think that's more of a home for him than Star Citizen. That's just my opinion.
It might be. Yeah, might be. Okay. All right. So that's that about the investors. Now, some of you may not know the CIG does put out their financials at the end of the year. They put out the 22. Yeah, 22. So it's almost like 11 months later, the next one for the next year comes out. That is a requirement in the UK. In the United States, the requirement isn't there, but over there, they have to publish that information. And so that's one of the ways that we're able to look and see how things are divided up, who the company's under, who the officers are, all that type of stuff is included in that documentation. So if you ever want to know, as a part of the transparency for you guys, you have access to that. All you have to do is go to their website. They do have it posted there. One of the things that the Calders did, the prisoner just talked about it. He read my psychic mind. The Calders invested money into the game for marketing reasons. As you guys know, there's a development side and then there's a marketing side. And this is like same thing happens in motion pictures and film. There's the amount of money you put together for production, and then there's the amount of money you spend on marketing. Video games do the exact same thing. And so they dedicated their money, or earmarked their money, toward the marketing for Squadron 42. Now, that's the one thing I'm not sure about, fastcart. Do you know if it's for Star Citizen or if it's for Squadron 42?
When it was first announced, it was Squadron 42 advertisement. Squadron 42.
Okay, so the money for marketing for that is for Squadron. Okay.
Yeah.
And then after they did that initial investment in 2018, 2 years later, they turned around and gave even more money into the project.
Yeah, now the second time, I don't know what that money is for. The first time it's Squadron 42, definitely. The second time, I'm not sure.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I want to say about that is that if you are a wise investor, if you're, doing your due diligence, if you think that something's not doing well, do you put more money into it, fastcart? I'm talking about from an investment standpoint, not from a crazy gamer standpoint.
Oh, okay. No, I would not put money into it. But
Okay.
I have a different point. But I'll let you finish.
No. I mean, that was my whole point. I mean, investors do a lot of research and information into stuff, right? Yeah, and I know somebody's going to say sunk cost fallacy. That's why I said gamers, Optimus. That's why I said gamers. Okay. I'm not talking about people who are subject to sunk cost fallacy. People who have millions of dollars and stuff. Hopefully, they're way beyond that. But yeah, that's my whole point. Evidently, you go back, you're working with the company, you see things, maybe it's a matter of watching for progress, right? Let's give you this much money first and let's see how things go in the future. Maybe that was the original amount that was requested, right? And then later on, they say, look, we'll put this much down right now. Let's see how your progress goes. Let's talk 2 years from now. Or they get excited from a corporate newsletter or information and say, hey, we'd like to be able to put some more money in to help out with such and such, right?
I do wonder what the Calders thought later on. They made them so much more excited that they want to invest more money. Because I would love to hear that story.
Yeah, I would too, and especially at that time because it was going into COVID, right? And so some people might look at it and say because of the length of time, that would almost make you more nervous about putting money in. But instead, the length of time, as we were approaching year number 10 or 11. They were willing to put more money in, which is interesting. And it will be interesting to find out maybe at some point. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Would incentivize them. Yeah, would incentivize them to give more money. Yeah, I think you raise a very, very good point with that.
But before we move on, I just want to make a quick point. I talk about how CIG do these financial report, and it's part of the UK. So people who complain or shout out at the top of rooftop that Star Citizen in a scam. I mean, technically, I don't know how it's going to be a scam when they report these things to both the UK and the US and whatever other country that they probably Germany too. So if they're a scam, the government would have already gone after them. So
Yeah.
I don't get that that scam thing right there. But
Yeah, that's a good point. Special thanks shout out to Thrakazak for giving that gift sub to Jade Star Watcher and Charles DCI. Good old Charles resubscribed. Thank you so much. 16 months in it. Was it 16 months? Yeah, 16 months. Yeah, 16 months. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. By the way, we didn't put our disclaimer in earlier, guys. Fastcart and I are not financial analysts or anything, okay? We're just sharing you observations of what we've seen, and we're just going to be sharing with you guys our thoughts today. So none of us are CPAs. We don't want you guys to think that.
Whatever you decide to do with your money after watching this episode is not our fault.
Absolutely,
okay?
Absolutely. It is all yours, okay? But we're just kind of giving you the history here because there are some people who are unaware of how this project operates, and there are people like us. We even have questions about the future. We don't know what they're going to do, but we are going to share some things that either conversations have brought up or things that CIG may have mentioned or things that we've seen in the industry that could possibly be a part of this. So please know that we are here with good intention, but also don't go running to the bank about anything that we say. Okay. All right. So let's talk about another aspect, Fastcart, of how we've been doing things. And that is ship sales. This goes way, way, way back. Now, when Fastcart and I first started in this, how many ships do you think were for sale back when we first started? Do you remember?
In 2014 or 2012?
When we started, like I started looking at it in I started really looking at it in 2013, and I'm trying to remember what was around back then.
I want to say 3 or 4 page scrolls on the page.
Yeah,
so maybe
that might have been about it, right? Well, 14, okay. So wait, the Hornet was around. The Aurora.
Yeah, the Freelancer.
The Freelancer and the Mustang.
And Constellation.
Kind of came a little bit later. It wasn't there in the beginning.
I was there when I got here.
Oh, we did. That was in 14. But in 13, I don't think I know it wasn't, because I remember. I don't know if you remember that picture where they had that one hangar with 4 pads on it, and those were the 4 ships that were on it at the time. And then the Connie came after that, along with the Retaliator a little bit after that, I think, because that was like the first multi-crew when they displayed multi-crew to us. So that was it. And packages, though, interestingly enough, the prices for packages has changed only slightly over the years. I remember, I think that I want to say you came in at either, I think the ES package was the cheapest package.
The $20
at 20 or 25. Was it 20 or 25?
That was during the IE back then when it was the holiday sale.
Yeah. So you could come in. The ES was like the base. You guys think the MR is base. The ES was really base, if I'm not. I think the ES was more base than the MR. Because I don't even think you can get the ES anymore, can you?
And plus back then, when you get a package, you get both Star Citizen and Squadron 42, so you get that for $20.
Yes.
But now, I mean, and then later on, you know, they went up in price, both Squadron 42.
Well, before we even get there, let's keep it with starter packages, because I think you raised a good point for people to know. When you used to get a starter package in a day, like here, you know what? Let me do this real quick. Do you have one of your early packages available, Fastcart? Like real early, when they used to give you a ton of crap?
Yes, I can take a screenshot and send it to you if you want.
Yeah, you can. If you can put it in the thingy. Let me show you guys what it used to look like. Hold on. We're doing some spontaneous stuff here for you guys.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Go live. We're doing it live. Let's see if I'm signed in. Hopefully I'm signed in. God, please let me be signed in so I don't have to sign in on this computer. I'm not signed in on this computer. That figures. Okay, are you going to make me go through the ropes? Let's see. I should have just did a screenshot on my other computer, which is exactly what I'm going to have to do, because this is already acting dopey. You go ahead and send me yours, and I will work on mine while I'm looking at yours. We want to show you guys what signing up for Star Citizen used to look like.
Okay, I put it in streaming alerts.
You got it in streaming alerts? Okay. I'll bring it up and then you can talk about it while I'm looking for mine. Streaming alerts. Where's streaming alerts at? There we go. Okay, let's see if I can get this to come up. I think I can.
Yeah, so this is the original. I want to say original because I went on 2014 version. Put it that 2014 version of what was called a physical package. This was originally a Constellation toy package, and it was $200. Back then, the Constellation was the toys were around $150. So it was it was around that. But basically, come with the hanger. And you can see it comes with both the Star Citizen digital download and 4042 digital download. It comes with the digital Star Citizen manual, a hardback making of Star Citizen. I'm looking forward to that. A 3-inch model spaceship, 5 spaceship blueprint, a glossy photo map. That's a physical map that they were supposed to send to you. A CD of the game soundtrack for people who this was before streaming services took over and everything. So yeah, so we were looking forward to it's probably going to be like a what do you call it? A coffee thing that you put on the desk now. People won't use that anymore. The spaceship USB drive. Now the thing about the spaceship USB drive, it's supposed to hold a copy of the game on the USB. Now, this is back in 2012, 2014, when the game was much smaller back then. But, you know, even now, if they send you a 128 gigabyte version of the USB drive, it may fit. But, you know, back then, it probably was thinking about an 8 gig or a 16 gigabyte USB drive. So it might be sized like a Constellation, but we shall see how that works out. Something else I'm looking forward to is the Deluxe Silver's Collector's Box. Now, they also had a Deluxe Green's collector's box, but I got the silver box, and I believe it's the difference between the silver and the green. It's mostly the color of the box, but not the content. It depends on what physical package you got back there. One thing that, you know, to my ever regret, it only has 6 months insurance, and you can see I've upgraded it to the Hornet Heart Seeker. And it comes with 10,000 UEC, not Alpha UEC, but UEC, and rubble in your hanger. So yeah.
Okay, so that's what you got in yours. Not bad, not bad. What I had, let's see if I can get mine to come up. I did find it. Took a couple seconds to do some digging here. This was for the Constellation package. Now, mind you, there was other stuff that we got. Now, my package was a little bit bigger. What ship was that for again, fastcart? The what?
It was a Constellation Taurus.
That was for the Taurus. Okay, so I couldn't screenshot all this because it was too big. It takes up too much room, and it took too much time. So I got the Constellation Andromeda, the Rebel in York hanger, the RSI Constellation poster, the bed cot that you could sleep on. The PTV was included. The workbench was included. The repair workbench. The Mark I fish tank was included. 4 fish also were included in there. Plus, I ended up getting 10,000 in UEC, 6 months of insurance, the digital download, or the manual, and then the Squadron 42 download, the Persistent Universe download, the digital game soundtrack, the digital star map, and the digital making of Star Citizen. Okay, so all of that stuff is what you would get in a game package back then. Now, over the years, we've been watching that like streamline more and more. And those type of extra items that were there aren't available. Some things you can still buy in the store, but there are a lot of things that you can't get anymore. Yeah, Danger Hobo, the Mark I fish tank. There's a Mark I and a Mark II, believe it or not. There's 2 types of fish tanks in this game. If you one of them is if you get, was it 5 subscribers, fastcart, 10 subscribers, you get the fish tank.
You get 5 also.
Is it 5?
It's 5. Yeah, it is 5.
Okay, 5. Okay. So yeah, not subscribers, referrals, I should say. Referrals. Yeah. So some of this stuff, you know, it was a matter of back in the day, you know, but over the years, this has increased. Now, mind you, we're sharing all this with you because we're talking about this dynamic of bringing in revenue. And these little items right here that were all included back then could become items that come back later in the future. The digital making of Star Citizen could come back. The star map could come back. We're talking, that's the digital star map. Forget that. What else could come back in here? The soundtrack. Oh, well, the soundtrack, they don't give the soundtrack out anymore, right? Unless you reach concierge levels. Is that right?
I don't know anymore. Digital maybe, but I don't know about the physical soundtrack. No.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, in 2016, they stopped selling physical stuff altogether.
Yeah. Now on the web, right now on the website, it's all digital now. Whatever they do have out there now. Okay. So ship sales were purchased with cash. They're called pledges and are permanently attached to your Star Citizen account. These purchases help fund the development of Star Citizen and Squadron 42.
Griffin, I don't know if you want to do this, but I dropped another link that's a package comparison chart. It's something that I used to maintain back before 2017.
Oh my God.
But it does, yeah.
That's a monster.
It does have everything that you can see and get.
That's a monster. I don't want to show it because I can't screen it right and it'll be too small. Okay. If you want to share it, that's entirely up to you.
I already put it in chat.
You did? Okay. So if you guys want to take a look at that, Fastcart's got a breakdown there of all these things, which is amazing that he had the type of time to even do that, but it's good resource information. Okay.
I don't have time anymore.
Yeah. So that's where we are right now. And once again, we're talking about what they're doing now. These are the things that they've been doing to generate revenue. And then let's hit on one last one here before we start getting into the future. And that's merchandise. Now, this one's been a tough one, FC. You know what? Can you talk about merchandise for a little bit? And I'm going to go get some stuff and bring it over here and show it to folks, if that's okay. Can you do that?
Okay, sure.
All right.
So I don't have the link up, but yeah, sure. You can see on the screen right there. CIG has gone through different merchandise, or not gone through, but sold different merchandise over the years. First, when I got in, it was mostly T-shirts, but then they started diverging into other kinds of merchandise. You see, they had the Starman bobblehead because that was a thing 2017, 2018, I forget when. But that was a bit of a controversy. So CIG decided to make it into a bobblehead, a physical thing. And you also see the Francis charm, and that's the earpod thing. And that's relatively new, but mostly it's just T-shirts, mouse pads, giant mouse pads. They sell sweaters, especially the ugly Christmas sweaters that they come up every Luminalia. And yeah, but mostly I did get a T-shirt. I'm wearing a Star Citizen shirt right now, but I do have a Star Citizen shirt. Are you back now, or you want me to keep going? No, I got to keep going. All right, so so let me see. Merchandise.
What is it you need?
Say it again.
Did you need something? Or are you okay?
I'm okay. No, I was wondering if you're back yet. But they sell caps too, obviously. Mug. Oh, the Pico penguin slippers. Those sold out. Those sold like hotcakes, as the saying goes. And they also have a special chairman club. So if you're $1,000 and over, you get access to the ability to purchase different stuff. Well, sometimes at a discount too. Mostly they do like not the shotgun glasses, but the drink mixers and stuff like that for a Chairman Club.
Okay. Yeah, the merchandise thing, let me think. I think I got some wording about merchandise here. Your merchandise, all revenue paid to or received by the licensor with respect to sales of merchandise. Merchandise is something that for the longest time, people in this community, believe it or not, have asked for. I mean, like literally have asked for it. They tell CIG that we wish you would do more merchandise. And, excuse me, in the early days, Fastcart can tell you that there were reasons that CIG talked about why they didn't do it. First of all, they didn't have anybody to handle merchandise at the level that the demand was there for. In the early days, Ben Lesnick's wife, and who was the other woman that was with her? Do you remember fastcart?
I know you're talking about. Because her name
that ran that.
I remember Alexis learning that.
Yeah, Alexis. Thank you, Alexis. There were only like a couple people, and in fact, some of them were not only doing merchandise, customer support, whole bunch of stuff, right? And
matter of fact, Sandy Gardner hopped in and helped sometimes.
Yes,
do that stuff.
Absolutely.
And Sandy Roberts now.
Sandy Roberts, yeah. And so there were T-shirts. There were. I wish we had some. We did a show a long time ago called Merch. You guys look for our show that we did called Merch. What was it called? Merchandise Mart. And it has Geo on the front of it carrying a whole bunch of merchandise. Check that out when you guys get time. Oh, let me give some shouts outs here. Oh, Vaverick, thank you so much for the 5 community gift subs, and Arctic Fire Cosplay, thank you for the Prime sub. Really appreciate you guys for supporting us. We really do. You guys have seen some of this stuff. This is one of the big mats. For those of you who ever wonder how big their game mats is, this is one of them. You can see this is really I know my video does not pick this up very well. It's too bad. This thing is a really big freaking pad. And even though I bought this thing, I bought it more as a collector's thing because it's too big for my desks. I don't even use this. But these things used to sell out like crazy. Who was that now? Zombie Bombi. Thank you, Zombie.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. We appreciate that. Then there are these items that come and go. I've shown this before on the show, FC, but I saw some of these this weekend. Some of you guys have seen CIG produces Jump Point. Jump Point is their little, what do you call it, Fastcart? Like a magazine?
Magazine.
Yeah.
It's almost indoor, but also out of lore too.
Yes, yes. They produce Jump Point, and Jump Point basically gives us stuff about development, their ideas, things that they were working on, decisions they made. And in some ways, it's kind of like the post-mortem stuff to a degree, but but it's kind of like just like a journey of going through the development process. And they used to produce these books. This is volume 3 of Jump Point, but they produced volumes 1, 2. I think this was actually the last one they produced. Now, my understanding was that these were fairly expensive to produce, and like to buy these, I want to say when I bought this was like, I'm not being funny when I say this. It was like $30 for the book or $35 for the book, but the freaking shipping and handling was like $25. It was $40.
Well,
it wasn't cheap.
Now.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap. Now, you'll say, Griff, is it worth it? I wish I had volumes 1 and 2. In the early days, I didn't know enough about this thing. I was still learning, and these things would go on sale and they disappear. They'd be gone, right? But if you want to know what this looks like, if you guys have probably seen Jump Point, but Jump Point, who's that? Glade says you got all 3. You make me sick, Gladestone. Actually, I remember when I went to CitizenCon in 2016, he had volume 1 with him, and he took it with him to CitizenCon and got it signed by Chris and Sandy Roberts.
Yep,
I remember that, Gladestone. I really do remember that you got it signed. So when you open this up, this is like high quality, glossy, really nice print of what you guys see in Jump Point. I mean, it's really, really, really nice. I wish CIG was producing these again. Now, for some folks, they're going to say, well, who's reading hard copy bound stuff anymore? Well, to be honest with you, a lot of people don't even read the PDFs. But for people who are collectors who want to add this as saying this is what, I help crowdfund and everything else, this is amazing. I would hope that CIG would put out a volumes 1 through 10 of this later, and that if people wanted to invest the money and get it, this is another way I could see them with merchandise. But this was a form of merchandising and bringing in revenue for the company. Then I'll share.
And the thing is, I mean, they could really make some money on those, especially if they did like a second printing, not even just second, third printing.
Absolutely.
I don't know what the infrastructure or logistics of that is, but I can imagine they could do something make it profitable. But for some reason they don't.
Yeah. Now I will say this, Blue Z. When you say CIG can't offer that now, I think they can offer it now. I think they can afford to now. In other words, as they're starting to build out their marketing, not their marketing, but their merchandise department, because later on, that there's going to be this, let's face it. I mean, y'all know the history of Star Wars. Star Wars made money because of its merchandise. I mean, its merchandise really, really cleaned up. And so, I think that they can now, as they build out the company and make sure that, because shipping was an issue, guys. Shipping, it wasn't like they were producing this stuff in-house. They had to have another contractor make these items. Then if you had people who were maybe in Asia or in Germany or Australia, US, all the postage, it was a hot mess back then. They didn't have the staffing and the people to really accommodate things at that level. So things ran in very limited runs in the early days. Fast card, here's another item that was not merchandise in the store. And I don't know if things like this will ever be up, as points of revenue. But this is what we got at CitizenCon last year. For those of you who went, you know that this was an item that we received. Can you guys see that? I don't know. Is it coming up, Fast Card? No.
Let me. I can't see in Discord. Let me bring it up on
on the show. I don't know if you guys can see it.
For me, but
okay,
yeah.
Can you see it? Okay, so one of the things that they gave us was this CitizenCon patch. And don't get me wrong, these are unique items to going to an event, which I think is nice. Okay, you guys usually get a digital version of stuff. They give out a digital CitizenCon package, but this is a physicalized package that they give us. So this had a patch in it. It had an ink pen that was in here. I'm gonna raise this up some. And then there was what is this, a badge? Yeah, this is like a pin showing that you attended the event. And then there was a challenge coin, 29. It's in there really good. 2953 challenge coin, okay? All of this stuff was in there. Now, my question is, would people want to purchase something like this? We'll talk about that later on. Is this something that people, if it went on the store as a commemorative item of the event, you couldn't go, but hey, put it on the store, will they buy it? We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then there are other things that we got, little challenge coins, all types of stuff that they would do, okay? So we just want to cover merchandise briefly because we are going to come back to it later. But merchandise has always been around, whether it started out with a simple Squadron 42 t-shirt. What was the other, what were the early shirts? Squadron 42 and, Arena Commander. Arena Commander. Yeah, Squadron 42 was green, but remember they had the Arena Commander shirts. Remember those? Yeah, that's cool also, yeah. And those things sold like crazy. There's some people out there who still have them. I'm sure some of you guys might even have some of them.
Yeah, holes and everything.
Yeah,
There's holes.
Exactly. And there will be holes in them if you have one, okay? All right. So listen, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to do a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to start talking to you guys about what are those things that CIG is doing now, and then what can they do in the future. So if you're a subscriber, you're going to be with us. We're going to give you a little bit of information. If you're not a subscriber, you guys are going to see a 1-minute commercial break. So let's see. Do I have it there? Yeah. Let's do the commercial break, and then we will be right back and continue our conversation on revenue streams. Here we go. Let's see.
Stay tuned for
there we go.
We'll continue after these messages.
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys for being here as always. Those of you who subscribe to our show, we really appreciate the support that you guys give us, especially now. We just always appreciate the support. We don't make a big deal about money with the show, but you guys are conscious enough to know that it takes money to do what we do. Even though what we do here is just for the group, recreationally as a community show, we do have our expenses. So we want to say thank you for what you guys do. You guys help us with our giveaways. When we ever get the chance to do those, we try to do really nice ones so that everybody benefits. We don't post when we're doing giveaways. We once in a while do it. A lot of people do it because that's the way they want to draw a bigger audience, but we want to do it and we keep it quiet because we want it to go back to you all who support us every week, who are here with us. So thank you for that. Okay. And we're going to get ready to go.
Before the commercial break, and Griff, can you share the stream and Discord for me, please?
Oh, I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. We were rushing to get things going. I didn't enlighten my buddy over here so he could watch what was going on.
Thank you.
Oops, that's the wrong one. Oh, no, it isn't. That's the right one. Okay, everybody, we are back. Thank you guys for being here with us today. We've been talking about the revenue stream, how CIG keeps itself afloat, keeps itself going, keeps the development going. And now we're going to start talking about things that have been happening recently. And then we're going to talk about the future. So FC, let me go to you first. One of the things that we did talk about earlier is that there have been price increases, right, over the years. In general, prices for ships, historically, you have a concept price for a ship. Sometimes that concept ship, because, we don't know when it's going to necessarily come out. It can stay concept for a while. And usually, correct me if I'm wrong, when it's at the concept price, it usually stays at the concept price, doesn't it? It doesn't change, does it?
Used to.
Used to?
Used to.
Even when it was concept?
2018.
Okay, right. And I'm speaking about the early days. Yes, the early days,
Yes.
it was the price that would be there. Now, the next time you would see it is when a ship became what they call, and they don't use this term anymore, but they used to call the next level as hangar ready, which meant that the ship was physically built in game, and you could call it up in your hangar, but that was all you could do with it. It didn't do anything. You would go to this little console or this little marker on the floor, and you'd call up your ship, and your ship would appear, and you could go on it and turn on the lights to do something real lightweight, but that sucker was stuck to the ground. You didn't take it anywhere. And then you moved from hangar ready to flight ready. And that was when the ship was actually put into the game. We came out of the hangar module, and now you could take your ship and fly it around. Is that pretty much it, Fastcart, how it went back in the day?
Yes, and then when something became flight ready, there's a chance that the price would increase from the concept price.
There we go. Usually that was the only time the price would increase. You'd get that first price at concept, and then you would get that next price. I don't remember. It might have went up at hangar ready too, but I can't remember if it stayed the same. Do you?
It might have. I'm pretty sure between concept and flight ready, that's definitely you definitely can count on something increasing when it became flight ready.
Yeah.
This is why the BMM increase in price is so rare and unexpected, because the Endeavor concepted around 2015,
right?
And it was 350, and it's still 350. What is it? 7 years or 8 years?
Right, still
later.
the same price. Yeah. Right. And this is where some of the FOMO came from, guys. The fear of missing out. What you were missing out on was the price increase. That was what it was about. It wasn't FOMO about the game, but it was about, we pretty much would know that when the ship went flight ready, there was going to be an increase. Now, I will say this. The price increase was not usually very dramatic. In the early days, the price increase may have been very minimal. We're talking maybe 10, 15, 20 bucks, may have been the difference, $25. That might have been it.
To be fair, back then, the ship was smaller. Like the biggest ship we had back then was a Starfarer.
Right.
But most of the ships were on fighter size or heavy fighter size.
Exactly. And you've got some ships like the Cutlass series. The Cutlass Black stayed $100 forever. It was only just recently that it increased over the years. Now, I think what spooked people, Fastcart, the very first time something got spooked was the 890 jump. Because the 890 jump's initial price was like $600, if I'm remembering correctly, when people got it. And then when it came out, it went to like $890 or $950. I can't remember. It changed. It's $950 now, but I thought there was another price right before that, and then it increased one more time. I think it was $890, then $950. Now that, if I'm remembering correctly, is what spooked people. We had never had a price increase that much. Now, the reason why that price increase happened is because in the early days, when CIG was building ships, there's the concept image of the ship, an artist rendering, and a general idea of what the ship is supposed to do. And then there's the reality of what the ship becomes. And ships like the Starfarer, like the Banu Merchantman, like the 890 grew in size and capability. And so then the numbers changed dramatically. Could you imagine if the 890 jump was $600 right now? People would have been snatching them up, even if they didn't like the ship. They'd be freaking buying.
I was just thinking about that. If it was $600 now, when I get one,
yeah. People,
I was just thinking that, Griff.
Yeah, people would have been buying that sucker left and right, even if they didn't like the ship at that price, right? And so the numbers adjusted. And once we got those ships and saw them, like the Banu Merchantman was $250. The Banu Merchantman, even though it isn't out yet, after we've watched the development of that ship and the growth and what they see it coming into fruition of, has now become, what was it, Fastcart now? How much is it now? $650, right? And now we know that upon release, it will probably change again. And who knows, if release is before 1.0, it might change one more time. Hard to say, right? So
you break my heart when you say if.
Oh, well, if? What do you mean if? Oh, if it doesn't, yeah. No, I know, but you know what I mean. So my point is that these numbers have changed. Sometimes they stay very close. They don't change by very much. And then there are other times where there are substantial increases. The Carrack was another example of that. The Carrack increased dramatically in price, but the ship also grew. Then there are other ships that there's very minimal. The Taurus was 150. Then when it launched, it became 170, and I think now it's balancing out around 195 or 200 is where it's at right now. And usually when the ships get to those prices, they're there. Once they get to that final release price, now then again there are other ships. The Hull C. Hull C was $200.
$200, yeah. Now, which I got one.
Yeah, Hull C is now $550, something like that, $500, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, the Avenger Titan. Now that one hasn't changed that much, believe it or not. The Avenger Titan Togi kind of hung around that whole $60, $50 range. But
the Avenger Titan has a history because they introduced variant for the Avenger.
Which before the Avenger was supposed to be modular. And then they brought out the variants. So you've got the Titan, and you've got the Warlock, and then you've got the Renegade, blah, blah, blah. So you got from 60 to 70 to 65, whatever. But it's pretty much stayed pretty, close to its thing. You know what I mean? Lefty, yeah, I think you're right. Fastcart has predicted this many a time that the Endeavor, once people really start to understand more about that ship, that price tag for that main piece will probably increase dramatically in the future. So let's go ahead and start talking. This is what's going on now. Let's talk about some other things that have happened, though, Fastcart, about pricings. There have been times when CIG has done price changes and they didn't give us good fair warning. We just recently at this CitizenCon saw that there was a $10 increase on the Ironclad for people who were using credit.
Assault.
Yeah, if you were using credit on the Assault. If you were coming in with fresh money, war bond, you wouldn't have seen it on their website. You would have seen the price still at $400. But for people who wanted to purchase it with credit, that price went up. And I think last week, Fastcart, you guys talked about this on Thursday, that it was not a good look. We talked about it last Sunday too, or last Saturday.
Sure.
That many of us felt it wasn't a good look, even if it was justified. That $10 increase may have been something that people kind of looked at as like, really, you not only do you launch the ship, but then you change it the next day. You don't tell us why you're changing it. You say nothing about it, and then you decide to do this.
Still nothing about that.
Yeah, you do this $10 increase. It might have been better to eat that $10 because guess what? We know y'all gonna sell it again at IAE. Raise it then. People would say, okay, it's going up. Matter of fact, you probably would have driven more people to buy it if you waited till then to do it. But that's a decision that they made, right? And folks, some of us felt a certain kind of. I don't own one. Didn't hurt me. And even if I did buy one, I still would have got it at the $400 price. I just think it was just not a good move by marketing to do something like that in the midst of Invictus without any notice. Fastcart, there was
24 hours.
Yeah, there was another occasion too. Remember, was it a few years ago when they put some ships, they raised the prices on them, and they didn't do it, and they didn't tell us about it till, was it Invictus? Was it the Cuddies? Remember, some ships went up to like, who remembers in chat what that was? A couple of years ago, a year ago, CIG at Invictus, they decided to announce at the last minute that they were raising the price on these ships. And I want to say it was when the Cutlass went from 100 to 110, and
you're breaking up on me. I didn't hear the ship.
Oh, I thought it was the Cutlass that they raised it. It was like four ships. Yeah, Darkness remembers. Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Cuddy Black went up after they sold the Cuddy War Bond CCUs. Okay.
Oh, okay.
The Cutlass and the Andromeda. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. No, it wasn't the BMM. We knew the BMM. Yeah, it was. Okay, thank you. The Cuddy Black, the Taurus. Okay, thank you. And the Andromeda. Okay, thank you. Because those did go up. Because I remember the Andromeda was like two and a quarter, and it went up to 275 or something like that.
Yeah, the Taurus used to be 150.
Yeah, the Taurus was 150. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, you guys get what we're saying, which there are these times where stuff happens, and a lot of that Fastcart, I think, probably is due to communication. Probably people get upset. There's no forewarning. No heads up.
Yeah, I mean, they've stated that they want to give us a heads up, like maybe two weeks in advance. But sometimes they adhere to that, and sometimes they don't. Yeah.
Okay. that's that. Let's get into. Is there anything else you want to talk about the way things are done now? Oh, why don't you talk a little bit about the CCU issue? Like, like how CCUs change and what are the things you have to look out for because you can take a hit. And
maybe the future of CCUs too.
Yeah,
So CCUs are what you can do to change one ship from it's called a cross chassis upgrade. They in the past they talk about doing maybe cross chassis downgrade, but that never came to be. But if you want to change like a Titan, Adventure Titan into a Gladius, you would pay the extra money. The price difference between the two ships, and then you would apply it to the first ship, and then you would have the Gladiator. But sometimes they have special deals. If you put in new money, war bond CCUs, you pay like $5 instead of $15, or pay $25 instead of $60, depending on what ship you're going to and from. But in the future, here's the tricky. CIG has stated that eventually CCUs will go away because we'll discuss more about what their plan may be later on in the show. But they've stated that CCUs will go away eventually. So if you have CCUs in your hangar, you haven't used them, you get the money back. It's similar to how they did with the Arena Commander pass. We haven't discussed that, but someone put it in the chat, so thank you for that, for reminding us. They used to sell Arena Commander pass for $5, but when they started to become free with your game package, they credited back the $5 as RSI credit. So they may do that again with the CCU if they decide to get away from the CCU research.
Okay. And even though now this is one of those things that is not written in stone as far as I remember, but CIG did say that when they're ready to stop selling ships, they will give us a heads up. Now they never said what that heads up would be. And that's if they do decide to sell ships, because there are opinions out there that CIG will never stop selling ships, that they will always sell ships. And I mean every ship. They'll never stop selling them. I'm talking about selling them for cash, for dinero, or
I remember a time when Chris Roberts stated that they will stop selling concept ships, but that was 2014, 2015. So they might have changed their mind on that.
Yeah. So Darkness Media, we're going to talk about that because that's going to be one of the things that my opinion is going to be too. We're going to hit on that in a little bit. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about these other categories here. And then we're going to go ahead and get into some other stuff. Let's talk about what I mean by recurring, because we read this intro for you guys at the beginning that a revenue stream is a source of income for a company, organization, or economy. In business, revenue streams can be categorized as recurring, transaction-based, project, or service revenue. So let's do recurring first. Recurring revenue is a business model that generates income from customers who make regular payments for a product or service over time. This model is different from a one-time payment for a single item. So what we have in the game right now, Fastcart and I were talking about this earlier. Some of us are subscribers for the Imperator or the Centurion Imperial levels. That's a monthly reoccurring payment that we toss in every month. Happens every month. Sometimes it's annual for some people, but that is one form of bringing in money to the game. Now, to our conversation earlier, Fastcart was talking about this earlier. One of the things that people have asked is, do you think that they'll ever move to a subscription base? For those of you who might play EVE Online, EVE Online, as you know, or maybe you don't know, Fastcart knows this, they have both a free-to-play version and they also have a pay version. And the pay version basically just gains you greater access in the game. You can still play the free version, but you can only play up to a certain way or have access to certain aspects of the game if you want.
You only have access to a certain level of ship, but after you pay, you have access to all the ships.
Right. Is there anything that you think, Fastcart, that CIG can do that's a reoccurring payment? Like you said earlier, other than subscribing for the game, is there anything that you think that people would be willing, or CIG could offer, that people would say, hey, if I pay this, then I'll take monthly payment?
Maybe monthly UEC, not alpha UEC, but monthly UEC salary Instead of rec, give UEC if you decide to pay monthly. Access to different ships for free, like they do for the for subscribers currently, except it'll be for people who paying to play the game. So many things they can do.
That's interesting. The first one you said to me was interesting. What was the first one again? You said about people who are willing to pay extra to
get UEC.
That's interesting.
UEC stipend.
Now, right now, you guys know that right now people buy crit. They can pay $10 and get. How much is it? They get 1,000. How much did they get?
It's 1,000 per dollar.
1,000 per dollar. So they get 10,000 UEC. So you're saying that maybe they could implement, and I'm not saying they should, guys. We're just talking about what are ways, okay? We're not suggesting them. We're just saying what are ways. If somebody says, "Hey, I don't have time to make money, but I'm willing to pay $10 a month to get 10,000," even though 10,000 credits ain't hardly squat. That's a one flight suit and a helmet. It's not a lot.
Not a lot, but it's something.
That's interesting. $10 for.
You don't like that idea?
No, I'm just trying to think about the value side of that. 10,000 credits ain't a lot of money in this game now. It really, really isn't. You know what I mean? If I paid $10 and I got 100,000 credits, that might be a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
People on eBay. Wait a minute, fastcart. People on eBay are paying $10 and getting 10 million credits.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Right. Yeah.
See, like Jade says, how outfit.
It's not permanent.
Yeah, but Jade, your numbers are based on supply and demand, so you can ask for those prices right now. Yeah, I don't know. If I don't have the time to earn credits, can I buy? See, now here. Wait. Would that be turned into a pay to win situation?
That's the question. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. If CIG would have put some kind of limit on it, sure. Because right now, I believe the limit is like 25,000. I forget. So 25,000 per, I forget, a week, day, I forget. But they have a limit now of how much UEC physical. Not physical, but UEC, not alpha UEC, but
right, UEC, right. Yeah.
So they may have a strict limit on that.
And that's what Lefty's saying. Lefty's saying if there's a reasonable cap on there. I still think there'll be people who'll still feel that it's pay to win. There are some people, like we've got some friends who told us, I think Togi was telling us he's got some friends who've been putting that money aside like for 8-10 years. They've been just, every week they buy some, right? Now that it's for some of them, it's just because they want to be able to just jump right in and do some things right off the bat. The question is, what are you winning? Because Star Citizen doesn't have a win. It doesn't have an end game. So does money? Yeah, I mean, is it just because it provides you the money to buy a ship that you always wanted? Is that the win? That you eliminated the process of earning it. So now since the earn aspect isn't there anymore, you just go directly to win. Some people would probably feel that's winning. If my ultimate ship is the Orion and I got enough coinage set aside, I won. But for that person, other people say that's not winning. You didn't win nothing. You just got something else in the game. You didn't win anything.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and how are you using it like how are you winning if you have it? Because you can have something in the hangar, but if you don't use it, then it's just sitting there.
Yeah. Okay. Let me come back to the recurring thing about subscriptions. The one subscription that we do have is the Imperator and the Centurion pack things that we do. Do you think CIG will continue that? Do you think that, because a lot of that right now is about development. Do you think that once we get to 1.0, that people will still be interested in what's the latest thing, what else CIG is working on, interviews with devs?
A lot of people would. I would see them continuing the ISC or whatever the future of ISC will be, because it used to be like around the verse, so they may have a different name by then. But I would see them continuing that program for a while, even after 1.0. Now, we discussed this at the beginning of the show, whether or not they would have another subscription on top of that, and that would definitely cause an issue if they do both. In my opinion.
Do you think that the model that they have right now, where like because I'm a subscriber, I get flair and things like that, that would be kind of healthy? As long as they make sure that those items at some point are available in the universe for other players to have access to.
Yes,
do you think?
exactly. As long as they don't call it, like, I'm using air quotes here, real gameplay. Like, you know, if you have a light or a flashlight or something, that's fine. If you have a piece of armor, some people may consider a piece of armor to be paid to win, depending on how powerful the armor is. But for the most part, like these armor, they're just run and mill. You can get them in game if you want to, but yeah, they're just flares at the moment.
So as long as they remain cosmetic, like for example, they've got the executive armor, right? That gold armor, and then eventually they started putting those gold guns in the game. Now, what I haven't seen yet, Fastcart, and somebody in chat, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. When you get to a certain level with donating, they give you this gold. Not Uberov, Kaztek rifle, the Aztec, the electric rifle, right? You get that, and you get the gold pistol. I have not seen the gold rifle in a loot box yet. I've seen it green, red, pink. I've seen all these other colors, but I've not seen that gold one in there. So my question is the arrowhead? I got it wrong. Okay, it's the arrowhead. Yeah, it's the arrowhead. I'm sorry, it's not the other one. Thank you. Is it SDSC? Thank you for that. So is that gold arrowhead in the game, or is it only for subscribers? That's my question, because arrowheads are available to everybody. But I'm asking, do you guys know if that gold one is ever lootable? I don't think it's lootable. If it is, I just haven't seen it yet. I got a lot of those gold guns. Zombie. Yeah, right. Okay, nobody's seen it. Okay, so that remains concierge. So if subscriber items come out, and let's say it's a certain color purple, right? Fastcart. Is it fair to give that to people who subscribe, but then other people may get a purple one, but it's not that purple? But the stats are the same, like you said. Nothing changes as far as gameplay. It's strictly cosmetic.
And a different color that's cosmetic, that I'm fine with that personally. Okay. And I think a lot of people will be fine with that. If they change the stats, that's when people have issues, in my opinion.
All right. I'll buy that for $1. Okay, fair enough. All right, gang. So that's the one on recurring. Okay. Let's go to the next category. Which is this one, transaction based. Okay. And again, this is going with our definition here about revenue streams. Transaction based revenue is a business model that generates income from fees charged for processing or enabling transactions. It can also refer to a classic revenue model where a business sells a service or an item directly to a customer, usually for a one-time payment. Right now, what falls into that category for us are our ships, right? And our ships fall into that category. We do a transaction.
And
cosmetics.
Yeah.
Merchandise. And well, would we consider? I think we would consider. I'm trying to think. Are flares and things merchandise, or are they? They're cosmetic merchandise. Let's call them merchandise.
They're cosmetic.
Yeah, let's call them. Yeah, they're but cosmetic is what they are because they don't do anything. But they're merchandise is what I'm saying. I'm trying to keep it within the context of if I'm selling something, I'm still selling a product. They're cosmetic. Let's say cosmetic products. We don't have to say merchandise. Let's say they're a cosmetic product. Okay, so those are things that we buy once, and once we pay for them, it's a done deal, right? What other things? We already talked about some of the merchandise items that we get, like the t-shirts and mugs and scarves and stuff like that. We showed the books, right? We talked about the stuff over here with merchandise. What else was I going to show?
People
Something
want
else.
in-game bobbleheads.
Yeah.
They could do that.
The in-game. Well, they have them. They're in-game. Aren't the bobbleheads in game, isn't it, guys? They want more. Yeah. Just other than the ones that they've got. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got one for you, Griff.
What's that?
Land claim.
Yes. Land claims were sold previously. It's been a while. Right now, they've associated land claims to the purchase of the Pioneer. It's been a while since they've sold the 4 kilometer and the 8 kilometer land claims. What they haven't talked about, here's something interesting, Fastcart. What they have not talked about is how can land claims be acquired outside of real money?
I believe they will be. In game, we'll be able to get them. This is just me and my guess, but I believe they will be. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying they won't. I'm just curious how. You know what I mean?
How? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can I sell you my land claim? Can I sell you my land claim? You know what I mean? In game. Is that something that I can do? I'm curious, because they haven't talked about that aspect of it. So far, the only thing we've gotten is cash. Cash money's been it.
I mean, like a lot of people, quite a few people, like to buy limited edition skins for different ships in order to sell them in game later on. So yeah, I can see that happening.
Okay. Transaction based. Any other transactions you could think of that CIG could come up with? Things that you buy one time. You buy it once and it's done. One and done.
Oh, NPCs, blades. No?
No, I'm not saying no. I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I mean they could do it.
Well,
I'm not saying they will.
Let's talk about that, because there's always this haziness about when you buy another account, what you can do with it, right? Maybe you can kind of tell people what the general.
I mean, yeah, back in the day, way back
the general
when,
thing is.
The understanding was when you get a game package, that accounts for a character that you have on your account. So like if you have like I want to say like a character and you have like 5 game packages, that means you can put 5, including yours, NPCs on your character. But the thing is, what those game packages would account for, it means that someone else who's like on your friend list could Agent Smith in to one of your characters and take their place, and then when that person leave, the NPC would come back. Now they've probably changed that. Maybe my understanding is out of date, but that was back then.
Yeah, and there's a lot of technical things about that. Like, this is where we get into the whole thing with NPCs and AI, right? The whole thing about AI and being capable. Because what I'd be doing is taking over the role of your NPC. And that enters a whole bunch of other questions, Fastcart. Like, for example,
right? Yeah.
Okay. For example, I'm in Stanton doing something, and you're in Pyro doing something, and you say, Griff, I need some help. I'm doing something in Pyro, and I decide to Agent Smith to your character. Now, I'm assuming that when I Agent Smith to your character, I'm no longer Griffin Gaming. I'm doing your NPC.
Right.
Do you think that's the case, or do you think I'm Agent Smithing in as Griffin Gaming? Because to me, that's a problem.
I think it's coming in as Griffin, in my opinion.
Really? See, I think that's a problem because you're breaking immersion big time, because I'm actually over in Stanton. So if I'm coming in to assist you, I'm coming in just to do the work. Because
I mean, it's your choice, because you can decide to take the long way around to come over.
Right. No. Now, if I do that, if I fly over to you and help you, that's me.
Right.
But if I'm jumping in to take over your NPC, and the reason why I'm saying that is that there's a huge exploit that can get built with that, with getting certain missions done, where I never have to leave my main character. I can always just go jump somebody else, do some stuff, get the experience, get the whatever. You see what I'm saying? But my main character is safe back in Stanton.
I could see them introducing some penalties if you use an Agent Smithing, but like I said, we don't know the details of it.
Well, I think the penalty should be that all I can do is do tasks. I can't gain reputation and any of that other stuff. Yeah, because all I got to do is hop from friend to friend, and I ain't got to jump out there myself. You know what I mean? I could just be hopping my spirit around the universe and getting all this stuff without endangering myself.
One thing I will say is that we better get credit. If you don't get experience or reputation, we better get credit.
Well, getting paid, getting paid is fine. I don't have a problem with getting paid. But I do worry about the breaking of immersion, where I'm benefiting by doing all this hopping around, and my main character could sit at home with a martini in their hand and never have to leave. You know what I mean? But that's just me. Any of y'all, we just theory crafting, y'all. But I'm thinking about this idea when Fastcart says, because right now there are people who do purchase additional accounts. They make that one-time transaction with the hope and intention that they can use those other accounts to help other people in the game or do the Agent Smithing thing. Whether that's going to happen or not, we don't know.
CG Creator had an idea, ship names. You could buy ship names for a transaction.
Ooh,
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, they could do it, but
what they do have this,
maybe,
you know what they do have?
Maybe, you know what they could do? Everyone gets a ship name for free.
Once.
If you want to rename a ship, you have to pay.
Because that's what I was about to say, because that's what we do now with our character names. You can get your character name now, but if you want to change it, you pay $5. So that could be something that people would do if they want. Now, right now, but the problem with that, see, like right now, and see, in alpha testing, we can get away with it because you can go in and change your ship name now. It doesn't cost you anything. But once the game goes live, they could implement that you get like one-time ship change before it goes live. After that, if you change it, there's a $2, $3, whatever fee it is, right? They could do that. That could be another way. One-time transaction to make something else happen in the game. One-time transaction to purchase cosmetics. One-time transaction. Interesting about the NPC thing. We'll have to see where they go with something like that. Okay.
Or you think we'll be able to change the look, our character look anytime we want? Or will it be
that's in the game.
After the first time?
That's in game. I don't see that as a revenue driver. I think that they made it really clear that when you go to there's a corporation, there's a place that you're going to go to change your character in game, kind of like a salon or whatever, and that's where you go to change your stuff, and that's in game. If you put because people are going to want to do that anyway. You know what I mean? I think that would be a negative. That I got to pay money if I want my person to look differently, and also mostly because we have the ability to make more than one character. So if I don't like the way my character looks, I'll just make another one. Dodge the dollar. I'll dodge the dollar that way. You know what I mean? But yeah, those are interesting things that we could talk about for doing that. Listen to this next one here. Project. Let's see. Project. Revenues earned through a one-time project with existing or new members. Now, this one was kind of like what Squadron 42 was, right? I mean, this whole thing is actually one big project, right? But later on, and we could talk about this in a way, do you think that CIG will generate enough revenue through the sale of Squadron 42 and the continued sale of Star Citizen: The Persistent Universe, so that when they want to do episode 2 of Squadron 42, there's no crowdfunding? It's all based on the revenues that have come in from that.
Oh, that's so tough. I mean, it's a cop-out answer, but it depends on how popular Squadron 42 is, right?
True. I think that this is my gut thing, that whatever they do from the future, once they go live with both of them, crowdfunding will no longer be the thing. We'll be doing what we're talking about. There will be revenue streams, but crowdfunding will not be one of them. I don't know that people will. We're going to do episode 2, and we need some money. There's something about that rings.
I mean,
not good.
Didn't I say earlier in the show, episode 2, to search for more money?
yeah, you did. Well, here's the other thing too. You mentioned a good point. The success of Squadron 42 may be what determines it. You know, because Star Wars was like that. The first movie came out, even though Lucas had a bigger picture, he grabbed only a section of his story, but he had no idea of whether or not he thought Star Wars was going to be a flop. He was ready to move on to something else, right? So maybe that is the balancer. If Squadron, and maybe we need to think about that. I know we're all looking forward to more chapters, but if the first game is mediocre and it brings enough to pay the bills, does it bring in enough money to continue going forward?
I think we should clarify mediocre in sales, because it may be
in sales,
but
it
might not catch on.
Yeah, in sales. Yeah, which could be the case. Yeah. It could be in sales, right? Or does CIG at that point say, listen, we did really well with this. Here's our revenue that came in. Now we're going to bring in investors this time. And that's how they get their money. Like any other company would do.
Right.
They could do that.
They could do that. But
if they prove, I'm only talking about,
or would they have to?
Well, I'm speaking of only if the game is successful, but not to the point where there's just stupid money coming in, right?
Right.
There may be some folks who see, this next time around, we made this money. Next time we'll make even more. I mean, just say from an ROI standpoint of view, right? Because right now they don't have that responsibility of ROI to a lot of folks.
I'm curious of what your thought are, because we talk about it offline, but I don't know if you talk about it on the show. How much you think the final price of Squadron 42 is? Like the base, the base, not premium, not deluxe, not ultimate, but the base for Squadron 42. How much you think that'll be per game?
By the time this launches, we have seen this, that AAA games have now started to move toward a $69.95 price. For new AAA stuff, that's the type of money they're asking for, $69.95. I would say if they launch at that price, they're at the industry standard. That's what I would say. That's industry. It will be industry standard. If they decided to say, we're going to do it less, we're going to do it at $59.95, I think that would be a good thing. I think it would be a good thing. As much as there's anticipation amongst us for Squadron 42, that level of anticipation does not exist in the gaming community. And people right now side eye when a game is over 69, 59, 69 bucks. They side eye a game. I don't care, you know, how much do they want for it? You know what I mean?
Right.
So if they want to get the game already has a reputation for being money hungry, if you know what I mean. And so if we exceed the industry standard, I think that will be bad. And I know there are people who feel that it's well worth it, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about from a business standpoint and gaming industry standpoint. If they did it for less than that, $49.95, I wouldn't be mad at them because they don't have the overhead that other games have had other than their marketing. So they could afford to do that and maybe gain even more people, right? Based on the price, right? So to me, if they did $69.95, I get it. If they do $59.95, I think that's smart. And if they go less than that, that's on them. Now, if you want to talk about deluxe and premium prices, that'd be a whole other story. But that's what I.
Yeah,
that's
that'd be a whole other story.
Right.
That's another 15-minute conversation. But
Right.
I would predict $59.99.
$59?
$59.99.
Okay.
I would predict that.
We're
But if
both
you
at the
wanna
same
do
number.
$69.99. Okay, maybe.
Mhm.
But yeah, $59.99. I could see them doing. But the different question is, do you think that they would ever sell on Steam?
No.
No. Okay.
Too many problems going through Steam. Way too many. Well, I shouldn't say will they ever. That's a really good question because there has
That's
to be.
That's a long time.
Well,
right?
well, it's not just that.
Right.
There has to be a form of distribution, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Steam and things like Steam and EA and them have become the standard, Microsoft, for how stuff is distributed. So that does take some pressure off of them in the sense of distribution. It also does pull revenue away from them if they're using one of those third-party corporations.
But they will be reaching more eyes.
But then there's also security issues. There's a lot of other things that become involved in there. So there are still companies that launch standalone on their, through them, and that's it. And I don't know all the technical pros and cons to doing something like that, but I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if they would ever go out like that on a platform like that.
I would suspect maybe after 5-10 years, maybe, but not within 5 years.
Maybe, yeah. Someone tossed in the chat here. Now I had this in my notes, and I'm glad they said it because I almost skipped past it. Was the idea of either Theaters of War or Arena Commander? Could those become standalone projects that go to other things like console?
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people talk about those in terms of console, and that would be a definite revenue stream. I don't know how popular they would be because that's a tough. I want to say tough market, but it's a crowded market. That's what I want to say. A crowded market when it comes to that. Yeah. So I'm not sure how successful they would be. I hope they would be successful, but maybe they can gauge interest in some way, or some form or another.
Yeah.
But yes, that is a possibility of another revenue stream. I don't know how successful it would be.
Well,
I wouldn't be able to begin to guess.
Let me give you something that's interesting. Timing is a little off, but timing might be right. There has been a dreariness to FPS gaming. Other than things like Fortnite and Overwatch and stuff, which is one group. The more simulation stuff has been kind of so-so. Call of Duty, I heard this last one was pretty decent. I don't know how the multiplayer side of it is. Tarkov just went through a huge controversy for their game. You've got the hardcore Arma people, right? Elite with Odyssey introducing FPS, space FPS, did not go very well. We haven't had a really good space FPS. Eve is working on, though, one. They're working on first person.
I wouldn't put too much hope in Eve. That's 514.
I'm only mentioning them because they're the only space genre that's out there, and they're looking to keep it on PC. So my point is, in some ways, the console area is an open field too. Okay, and I think that if it's done well, and its own self-contained game, it could be, as you mentioned, a source of revenue. Could be, right? But it is dangerous waters because most of the companies that we've seen who've gone into console for PC, that's why I didn't say can Star Citizen go to console, but I picked those two elements. Those to me are much more viable and I can see them and less risky than trying to take Squadron 42. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen. CAG may be working on it. Who knows? But those smaller models I could see going in as games that generate some form of revenue, if they're built out. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that. Okay. Let's hit this next one. Service revenue. Service revenue is the net income a company earns from the services it provides. It's a key part of service-based business income statements and financial accounts. Service revenue is different from a product sale because it doesn't involve selling a physical or digital good. It also doesn't include interest income, investment gains or losses, or revenue from product shipments. Now, we're going to talk about these in a little bit later, but service revenue, you guys have heard people talk about, and even we've talked about, will CIG, for example, license their development tools? Will CIG license out Star Engine? Will CIG rent out their mocap studio? These are services that they could possibly make available to folk as another way to bring in money. Will they rent their studio out for some reason? I don't know. Somebody wants to have a party, whatever. These are other ways that they could have for renting or service to bring in revenue, which is going to bring us to this next slide, Fast Cart, and then we can talk about that topic. These are some of the ideas that we're listing as ways that we've already talked about some of these, but we're going to go through them one by one now and maybe give a little bit more detail to them. In Fast Cart, let's talk about the game packages, the whole thing of selling ships. Let's talk about those two things together. Your feelings. If could CIG use these? And I'm not talking about what has CIG said per se, but we could talk about that. But now I want to know what you think they will do in the future in relation to these topics. So what about game packages? What do you think they'll do?
I think they will always show game package because, everyone's going to need their first ship, whether it be in a war or maybe like a constellation. I think those will always stay around.
Do you think the game packages will stay limited to starter ships? Or will game packages, like, for example, I showed you mine was yours too, were for constellations, right? Those were game packages when we got them. Or do you think they'll keep it within the realm of small, entry-level type of ships?
I think it'll be up to constellation, in my opinion.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
because it's like a premium package versus an ultimate package. Like the base package will be maybe $59, $49, or $79, what have you. But you then have the premium, which would be maybe a saber or maybe a prospector or something like that.
Okay.
And then you have the ultimate, which will be a constellation Andromeda. In my opinion.
I'm going to push back a little bit. I agree with you 75% of what you say. But I think will be starters and premium starters. And I think that's why they introduced premium starters. That they're going to kind of bridge that. It's going to stay under the $100 level for me. You know what I mean? And so ships like the what's that consolidated Outland?
The Nomad.
The Sayulan. Those things they consider premium starter, even like the Avenger. Those will be packages that you could come in at, which I would fall into the premium category. And then there'll be like that Aurora, Mustang, those the Cutter. those will end up being the base packages. I think that even though, yeah, there probably will be some people who'd be willing to spend a little bit more money. Like, you know, a lot of people, the Cutlass kind of fits into that perfect ground area. I think, and maybe they'll even do starter packages based on careers a little bit more. So maybe you'll have, like, you remember back at one point they were calling like the prospector like a starter mining ship or a career starter. Yeah.
It's a career starter.
I don't know if they have to do that necessarily, but I do think that, like the Avenger, you can see how you could use that. That's like cargo and whatever. Same thing with the Consolidated Outland Nomad. Same thing with the Sayulan, even though people don't like it as a cargo ship, but it is designed for cargo. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the starter and premium starter. That's where my buck is going to go on.
So it'll be 150 or under or 100?
No, I'm going to say under 100, under 100, under 80, under 80 even less to come into the game.
The Nomad
is $80.
It's 90. It's over that, I think.
It used to be 80. Is it gone up now? If the Nomad's higher, guys, then let us know. But I wouldn't go higher than whatever a premium starter price is. If it is $80 up front or $90, that's fine. But I'm just saying I would stick with premium starters, and starters will always be around. Let's go back to the topic that you mentioned earlier, though, about ship sales. Now, there are some people who think the CIG will never stop selling ships because the money just keeps flowing in. What are your thoughts on that one? Nomad is 90. No. What you can cover both. You can cover concepts and regular ships, whichever one you want to cover.
Oh, concept and regular ship. For concept, I'm iffy on this one because you told me not to go on what they said, but what they said.
No. You can share. No. You can share with. I'm saying I don't want to just talk about what they said. I'm saying I want to hear your opinion too. So you can go ahead and give the background on it. Go ahead.
Okay. So in the background, from what I remember, maybe I am. It's in my head, or maybe they didn't say it, or maybe they said it differently. In my head, I remember them saying that eventually they would stop selling concepts after the game goes live, and they would just rely on game packages of for revenue. That's what I believe I heard they say one time, but this is one time they said it, and it was a long time ago, so they can change their mind. So they could sell concept, but that's a lot. I mean, they already have like 200 ships in the game right now. So how many more ships you think they would have to keep on introducing? Because that's a lot of ships to keep track of, maintain, make sure they're up to date, year in and year out.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not saying that they will stop producing ships, but as far as selling them, that's tough.
Okay.
Because I mean, it is a great source of revenue now. And it'll probably be a great source of revenue then, but I have different feelings on that.
Okay, I'm going to say that they will continue to. This is what I would like for them to do. My plan would be continue to make ships, because it's been proven over the years that every time we think, and people have said this, they got enough ships, and what happens? They put out a ship, and what do people do? They buy it. Which means that somewhere in our psyche, you can never have enough ships. People even joke around and say, you can never have enough ships, right? Now, what they do run into is the problem of things being repeated, right? Like, I've got enough cargo ships, or I've got enough fighters, right? That they do hit, right? But the question becomes, can CIG continue to develop things that make us either believe, or we do believe, are relevant to the game? Right, career-wise and everything else. So let's use mining, for example, right? You got a prospector, right? You step up to a mole, you step up to an Arastra, you step up to an Orion. And let's just say that they decide to use that as their model. Small, medium, large, extra large. If they do that on almost every career, they got plenty of room to make a whole lot more ships. Okay?
Yes, I agree.
So if they put in enough ships at launch, to your point, at release, that allow people to play the different careers and then continue to fill out that second, third, or fourth tier, they can continue to build ships. If I'm interested in salvaging, right now I've got a Vulture and a Reclaimer. They could launch release 1.0 with those two ships. But if they say, guess what, Griff, we've got a medium salvager. Guess what? I'm interested, right?
Well, yeah.
Not only am I interested, this is my only limitation on it. You only can buy it at concept with cash. Once you buy it at concept, you can drop money on it. Now, what that does is do what? First of all, it creates a certain level of this is the only time I can get it. Because once it's in the game, I have to buy it through the game, in-game. I can't use money to get it anymore. And for some of us FOMO people, like me, who's into mining or into salvage, I'm going to be willing to spend that money and get that ship. Okay? First of all, I'm helping to get it developed, right? I'm helping to support the project. It's revenue for them. And when it comes in the game, I got it already. Now, some other people may say, I got 2 salvagers. I'll just earn it in the game. What are you going to say?
1 point. LTI. You have the LTI too. That
would be great if they throw. Yeah, if they throw. And that's it. Let's assume that LTI is more meaningful, right? But even if it didn't have LTI, if I don't want to hustle for that sucker, I'll put the money in for it. LTI is not. LTI is icing on the cake for me. It is not the driver, right, because we're not going to be getting to this whole thing of upgrading ships and CCUing at that point, right? So now I would say at that point, just only do concept ships for sale. Anything else, you got to get it in game. Starter packages, right? Base and premium and concept. After that, anything else for me, you got to get it by earning it in the game.
Okay.
And that's my revenue stream for them when it comes to ships. Okay.
Okay. Ship.
Yeah. When it comes to ships, that's my revenue driver for them. Okay.
I can buy that for $1. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you say.
Okay. Well, okay. We'll see. Let's talk about merchandise. This is a weird one because you can go crazy with merchandise. What are there some? Yeah. Are there some things that you think would sell like hotcakes that you think that the community would want?
I mean, JRDF has his code already, but ship models.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe CIG could put out ship models that JRDF that don't have yet.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was at Equinox this weekend. Equinox, great event in Columbus, Ohio. We went yesterday, got back like this morning, had a great time. JDRF was there. They had a great display with a lot of items that were there. I got disappointed by one little thing. You want to know what it was? I'm an old model maker. I loved making models. I used to make everything, AMT models, all that stuff, right? All the plastic models, all the builds and everything. Today, I don't want to build squat.
I hear you.
I don't want to build. I don't want to paint nothing. I don't want to build nothing. I want to open the box, take it out, and sit it down. Right? That's all I want to do. Okay. So and for those of you who don't remember back in the day, CIG used to sell a die-cast version of the Constellation. Okay, they used to sell it. This thing went for like 70. It was no. It was like freaking 4 or 5 inches long. It was big.
Oh, I don't remember. That was
it was big.
Time. Okay.
Yeah, it was a big, like to go on your desk, like a really nice model, right? Okay. And it was just a die-cast thing. Didn't have a lot of detail, but it was nice. Okay. I wanted one so bad, but it was freaking like $75 or $100, and I'm like, that's a ship back then. You know what I mean? So I never bought it, right? I never bought it. Yeah, Geo did. Thank you. Almost. Geo has a video on it showing it. It's a really cool thing. Now, to your point, fastcart, if they let JDRF continue to do the models and the 3D printed thing, people who are into that painting kit, customizing it, but if they wanted to do collector's editions that were like a die cast, I would eat that up in a heartbeat. I'd buy them like crazy. So I would love to see that in a merchandise store because all of us have our favorite ship. Oh. I know you would get a BMM. I know you would get one. If it was a diecast that was painted well, you know you'd buy one. You know you'd buy one.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I just had a different idea.
Okay.
People like me were interested in the Titan suit.
Okay.
If they would put out a model of a Titan suit that was movable, adjustable.
Okay.
Oh my God, like a transformer almost. Oh my God, they could sell so many of those and make so much money from that.
Okay, that'd be interesting to see.
People like me would buy them up in a heartbeat.
Okay. What other merchandise? I know we've already got things like, I know something that everybody talks about the CIG has now produced. CIG, you all are missing money. Please sell ship manufacturer t-shirts.
Yeah.
Y'all need to be them shirts that we freaking buy at Invictus and IAE digitally.
People want them in real life.
Oh my God. If y'all sold Origin, I'd buy Origin hat, shirt, underwear, whatever. What are y'all missing on this? Everybody loves their manufacturer. Oh my God.
They could partner with Nike and put out Origin shoes.
Listen. Y'all need to be putting out manufacturers. People have allegiances to their manufacturers. People love Drake. The Drake hats sold like crazy. When we were at CitizenCon, people bought those Drake hats. You're missing. You ain't got to wait till 1.0 on this one, guys. Sell the consolidated Outland shirt. Sell the Argo shirt. Just the T-shirts. That's it. You can get to the other stuff later. But honestly, if they sold those fastcart, people have got their allegiance to the Banu. They buy that stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
I would probably get a Banu.
You know what else?
Get a Banu shirt.
You know what else? You know how they got those Banu digital shirts in the game, like that series of shirts that have the crazy stuff on them that are written in Banu. People who they buy that stuff. People would buy a Big Benny shirt. They're missing out. T-shirts are a breeze.
Oh, you know what? They could sell a Big Benny box like it did from 2018. We had let me go backstory. In 2018 in Austin, they had these food trucks, and if you went up to them and you order certain things, you would get a box with a Big Benny stuff on it. But I was smart. I went up to them and said, I ordered the food that I had to order for the box, but I said, just give me an empty box and use a plain one for the food because I wanted mine clean.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Well, you know what?
I have one for you.
They should sell those at CitizenCon. I was disappointed last year that we didn't have the Big Benny's box again. And I would love for them to, if you want to order your food, you could buy it, and eat your food in it, because some people want to eat their food in a Big Benny box.
Exactly.
But then they should also have them as a souvenir. If you pay $1 or whatever, you could buy one. I would gladly do that easily. And by the way, Big Benny Bank that goes on your desk, right? Got the Big Benny Bank, old school, right? Have a little Big Benny machine that sits on your thing, and you throw a coin in it, and you hear the little Big Benny song come out of it. Y'all know y'all would buy that. Y'all know y'all would buy that. Okay. What else were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Challenge coins.
Yes. Yes.
Challenge coins. They would make money on those.
Yes, absolutely. Challenge coins. Especially if they're based upon like the one I showed you in the box set. It was labeled for this last year, right? If people would collect those to be able to have them for the different years, that would be amazing. Okay, let's get past that. Cosmetic items. I know we could talk about cosmetic items forever. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm gonna throw a little plug out there for you, Jade. Jade has been selling cosmetic items in the game and making a killing. I won't talk about her wholesale distributor, but she has a way to get different costumes that you cannot get in the stores. That's all I'm going to say. So, but in reality, though, cosmetic items are popular with some people. People do like buying certain armors and things that are offered. The T-shirts we talked about. The glasses. I've got the glasses. I even buy the glasses and stuff. Is there any other cosmetic item that you think would be good? I know paints falls into that category. Ship paints falls into that category.
Yeah, I mean, I still want the Mustang Beta and Mustang Omega. It's red and black, but if they sell a skin that's close to it, I would be fine with that.
Okay.
If I can't have the Mustang Omega.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think as we get further in with things like base building, will people want to buy things like furniture sets, right? Things like that, where there's a certain unique, executive edition living room set. You know what I mean?
You can have your Terra look, you can have your Hurston look, you can have your Orson look.
Yeah. And then you can have stuff that's manufactured too, right? Stuff that the players can build themselves. Excuse me. Stuff that the players can build in game with blueprints, but then you could also have maybe some unique items that if you want to pay cash for them, you can get them in the game, right? That special hot tub that Fastcart wants to have for his Banu merchantman, gold line with scales on it, something weird.
I think that's Kai.
Kai, okay, yeah. But anyway, you guys get it. They could come up with other cosmetic items. Let's talk about the licenses, Fastcart. Do you think CIG will do anything like this? And I know we've talked about it before, but there is something good about things being proprietary, that you hold on to it for yourself, and then there are benefits to licensing things.
It certainly looks like they're going in that direction because of the last Citizen Con, because they were hyping up Star Engine, like, you know, it's almost ready for release, and like they're going to start selling it.
But
So,
does
yeah,
that mean? But does that mean licensing the
that.
engine? Is that showing off the engine? Is that saying, look at what we can do that nobody else can do? I mean, I could look at it that way too. I could look at it that nobody's doing this. Nobody's creating
to me,
this.
It looked like a marketing. It looked like a marketing.
I'm not saying it's not marketing. I'm saying, is it marketing to give it to other people? Or is it marketing to say, take a look at us? In other words, nobody else has this. You know, I'm saying it's like, it's not funny. I'm just using Apple as an example. Apple's known for what Apple does. Apple don't license their engine out to other people. So I'm saying, does that make them distinctive by saying this is cool? And I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying I could see the door swinging either way. You know, we're about to hit the industry. Y'all talking about Unreal Engine, take a look at this, right? Maybe we're going to do licenses for this. Or is it just the fact that we've got something that competes with Unreal Engine? And if you want to see it, you got to come to us.
I mean, and it also depends on how competitive they are, if they were to do that. Because, I mean, they got lawyers, they got Ortwin and Toast, so they could hammer out something that, you know, maybe charge less than Unreal, but still profitable for them.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Developer tools. What about that one? In-house, remain in-house, or no?
That's a toughie. I mean, some of that stuff, maybe the audio stuff they could do, but I don't know about the visual stuff, but we'll see.
Yeah. Because they do use third-party tools, and they've come up with a way to create their own in-brand software that allows them to combine all those to work together. But I'm also sure that they've created their own stuff as well. So it's just an interesting idea. I can't think, is there anything else you can think of as far as the licenses for them? What about licenses for, like, okay, what about people who create things under the Star Citizen banner? That they have to get a license to do that in order to do whatever it is. Like, let's say Nike wants to make Star Citizen gym shoes.
Oh, you're talking about that. Okay. It's possible. Like, I mean,
is there somebody? Whoa! Excuse me. I'm going to cut you off. Let me stop you. Let me stop.
How profitable.
Let me stop you for a minute. Let's talk about licenses from the what's the word? I'm trying to think of the esoteric word that means when you have a product, but you're selling the idea, the brand, from a brand perspective. Let's talk about, because we talk about tech side, but let's talk about the brand side of it. And you mentioned about the gym shoes earlier. Somebody in chat earlier, and please forgive me whoever said this because I meant to mention this. Lunchbox. I'm just saying. Thermos, we're gonna, Thermos is gonna put out a lunchbox for kids.
Say, do people still use lunchboxes in this time?
They make not like the metal lunchboxes, but you know what I mean. But wait, but there are people who, for nostalgia and collectors reasons, do buy stuff like that, right? Somebody has to manufacture that, right? If they're not doing it, right? Or when we talked about, remember the old Logitech thing with the joysticks, right?
Yeah.
What about those type of licenses? Will they continue to do that, or will they produce everything in house? At one point, they were trying to get another company to make the camera.
I mean, I don't know how much CIG felt burned by the thing, because they had good ideas that worked well. They had ideas that seemed good but didn't work out. So I don't know how they feel about taking a chance on that anymore, because it's been a while. Like the last one they did was the Saber Raven. Am I correct?
Merchandise?
Oh yeah, because they did it with the hard drive, the SSD.
Yes. Yeah, that was the last one.
That was the last time. That was 2018. That was 2017.
That was Intel.
Yeah, Intel. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they've
7 years since they did.
Yeah, I don't think they've licensed anything with anybody since then that I remember. So yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. But there could be other stuff. I mean, Chris did want to create this keyboard and all this other stuff at one point. Who knows, right?
Ed said they did partnership with Sea Electobian Game Glass. Yeah, but that's like they were selling their own thing, but it's a partnership because they give a discount. But neither one of those had a Star Citizen or CIG or Squadron 42 brand on it. We're talking about a specific brand.
Yeah, we're talking about them doing a branding thing, but you are right. They did have to get licensed to do what they were doing. Right. Yeah, but that's a good point. Okay. Video production, motion caption studio lease. And I'm talking about the mocap in particular right now. We'll get into other stuff after this one. Andy Serkis started his own mocap studio. CIG was actually using that studio. Eventually, he shut that studio down. And I'm assuming that he did it because it wasn't bringing in money. If I'm not mistaken, he closed it down. And so I'm assuming that it was probably because trying to compete in that world, there were probably a lot of other mocap studios out there and it just wasn't profitable. We know that CIG wants to continue making more for Star Citizen and add more. And we've even seen them even step into the world of machinima for a hot second. So we could see them still using it, that it's not a one-off, just using it for right now, that they could use it in the future. But do you think, let me finish this up real quick. Their studio is in the heart of a whole technology campus with a lot of other production places and everything else there. Is it possible that they'll open those doors to other companies, or maybe already have been, allowing them to use that mocap studio?
I was going to say, I could see them opening up to cinema makers who want to have a high quality machinima and maybe doing it in a reasonable price so they can come in, do their thing, and then go back out and do the production on it. So I can see they could go that route.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't like that one?
Yeah. No. I'm just taking it in. No, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just taking it in. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
They could go that route because how many that's an example. EE Studios come in maybe once every other month. They got an idea for something they want to do. They do it and take maybe a week of mocap production. Go back and then apply the magic, and next thing you know, the next story is out. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. Let's go to that next one here. This one's people have talked about this before. Video motion picture production. Will there be a Squadron 42 movie?
Oh my god. Or anime. Or manga.
Yeah. Comic book. Yeah, I know. I'm going to get to new franchises. When I get to new franchises, let me keep it within the context of video and motion picture. We'll get to franchises after this. Go ahead.
No, they can make a set of 18 different movies, and then at the 19th movie, they come together like the Avengers. Endgame.
Star Citizen Endgame. Yeah.
Cloud 42 Endgame.
Well, let's talk about this for a second. Chris Roberts is known for, one of the things he's known for in his games is the aspect of them being very theatrical or cinematic. That there's story, there. And not just story to just kind of lead you from one place to another, but they really do try to put an effort into creating story. And we know that from the fact of what we've seen the lore team doing over the last 12 years, that story is important. And we know that Chris was very much influenced by Star Wars, which is what brought him to making Wing Commander. And anybody who will tell you it was a first director effort, and first director efforts are usually mediocre or terrible. We watched it just recently, and it was entertaining to watch as a group. It's not Academy Award winning. It's got some cool stuff in it.
I missed it.
What you call it? Wing Commander.
Wing Commander. Oh yeah. Wing Commander.
Yeah. But mind you, it takes money to make films. It's not cheap, right? It's not cheap to make a film. If a film is successful, you can make a lot of money off of it. I don't know. Would they do that? They have the capability and if the revenue's there, I don't know. Do you think he'd revision himself to his dream again of the filmmaking and do it, or you think he's done? You think he's done?
The actors right there. I can see them moving from
the actors are
digital, and
half the actors are on Geritol too. I don't know. It's It's a lot to
Geritol,
consider doing.
We're not sponsored, by the way.
I know that joke. I know, but that joke was for you because only you would know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I didn't want to say most of those actors are getting old, but I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know whether they would ever in the future look at something like
that. But the
that.
beauty of it is that you can de-age them too. So
This is true.
They may walk slow, but
This is true.
You can use that likeness and use someone else a younger body.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Let's go to new franchises. Different things that CIG could do. I saw Odie put in, I think it was Odie who put in about them creating a Star Wars game, right? What did he call it? What did you call it, buddy? I think it was Odie who said it. Maybe I got it wrong.
Squadron 42 game, what you mean?
No, he meant like a game, Yeah, okay. It was ODZ. I'm just going to drop my ideas. Citizenverse game through the sim pods that take you to fantasy MMO using the Star engine. They would make a bank. Okay, so my question is, I know it's a different way he was going, but we're talking about things that they would create other franchises, both non-Star Citizen and Star Citizen, right?
Oh, you mean like Star Marine?
Yeah, or what? Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but like, what would they create? In other words, the expansion of the company and the vision. That's a better way of putting it. Right now, we've got everything limited to Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. Will they create another franchise? Gene Roddenberry had Star Trek, but he also had Andromeda. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Right.
He created other things that failed.
Oh, something separate.
Yeah. I'm saying new. Yeah. Not. I said, even though we've got Star Citizen Squadron, will they expand Cloud Imperium?
Oh.
Will Cloud Imperium expand into other branches of things?
I just had an idea.
Okay.
You can make so much money from Squadron 42 and Star Citizen that you could actually buy the Wing Commander brand. Because this is supposed to be Wing Commander, and he wants it Wing Commander. So if he makes some money, buy it back, he can go into that.
Because is that under EA? Who has Wing Commander?
I believe so.
Or Michael? Yeah, okay, I can't remember.
It's one of them.
Well, that'd be buying back something. I'm saying, do you think that they will
something new
expand into, or do you think they'll just be content and happy with they got their hands full with these two franchises? And it's the same franchise under Star Citizen, but you do have two things.
But maybe 10 years down the line, you would say
the company.
Well, maybe 5 years down the line, you branch out into something else.
Are there dangers? Because let's look at a company that did do that, Elite Dangerous with Frontier, and they went into Jurassic Park. They had the roller coaster games and all that other stuff, and Elite ended up suffering. Right? Is it better to stay within what you know? Is it smart to expand out?
Chris Robert is an innovator. So I can definitely see him wanting to branch out. But the question is, for people who's working with him will say, maybe we shouldn't take this chance, Chris, or would they say, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go for it.
Okay,
that's the thing.
Well,
I don't know which way did it go.
Look at Bethesda, who spent a tremendous amount of their time making games either medieval or post-apocalyptic for many years, right?
Right.
And did very well with those franchises. Right. And then decided to say, we're going to open up a new franchise. We're going to go into space. Right. And I'm just saying, we saw that pattern. It took them some time to get there. As you mentioned, you said it may be something down the road.
And I could see something on the other side too. Look at EA. They had Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And they did 1, 2, and 3, but then they did Mass Effect Andromeda, same universe. But didn't do well.
Yeah, but it still was in the same genre and universe. I'm talking about breaking into something that ain't Star Citizen, that ain't Squadron 42.
No, okay.
Yeah, I'm just curious. And maybe it's still genre based. Maybe it's a different space, different lore, different people. I'm just curious as to whether or not they would be that daring.
I could see maybe how Star Wars had their Jedi, but they're breaking into a bounty hunter or a smuggler type of game too. It's same universe.
Okay.
But different kind of story.
Okay. All right. We're over time already because we're just having too much fun theory crafting. That's why I told y'all not to listen to us. let's do this very last one, which is publishing for independence. Now, this one came to my mind afterward, fastcart, from a different perspective. And the perspective is this. Does Chris Roberts see opportunity to assist other companies who are starting just like they did and become the publisher for them? Because to do what they did is, whether we'll ever see that repeated again would be interesting to see, but we haven't seen it, not at this level. There are other people crowdfunding. But if they're able to make their company, and this is contingent upon a lot of things, right? Will Squadron be successful? Will the Persistent Universe be successful? Does CIG become that publisher that independents want to come to because they understand not having that pressure on you from the traditional publisher, that they publish differently, that they help people get things started, or become the resource of how can you go out and raise funds, or can we foot you a certain amount of money and help you get your game out there? You know, is that something that could be a possibility, that they would take the knowledge that they've learned over the last 10 years or 12 years to help other companies get started as well?
It's a possibility, but I don't think it's likely, in my opinion, because it's such a pain in the neck, and you have to be responsible for the independents. And if they don't do well, who pays for that? Is that it falls on the independent, or does CIG have to take a hit from that as well? I don't see them. I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't see them taking that.
Everything is risk. Everything is risk, because I can swing the other door the other way and say, what if they do well and bring in tons of money? Right? What if they do well and they bring in tons of money? Yeah, then they win, right? So there's always risk. Right. You can't get rid of risk. You know, I'm just saying, we always talk about Chris Roberts wanting to do things to impact the industry and change things. How do we get him from as I won't reference how George Lucas said it, but he called a certain group of people the slaveholders. You know, how do you get other you don't remember that? Oh man. Some people in the channel will remember what I'm talking about.
Are you thinking like they could become another Steam or another?
No, I'm just saying that they've learned some things about how to develop games, right? And they've
take more activism.
Yeah, well, I'm saying they've learned how to do this. I'm saying they've navigated this whole crowdfunding thing. What if I'm a developer who has a great idea, right? But I need somebody to help me through that process and help me learn how about getting funding, how to miss the potholes. I strike a deal with you as my publisher. I get access to your tools to be able to help build out some stuff. You help with me as I'm going through this. There's a level of accountability. I ain't just getting money from you and running and doing whatever, right? Because CIG's got to think this has some promise to it as well. They get behind me as a developer and co-produce, or I produce this game with their help. And a certain percentage of my revenue that comes in will go to them. It's just a wild stretch of an idea. So but I'm just looking at them as a business. I'm looking at them as a business. Is there other ways that they can bring in revenue?
So what happened if they sign up someone like that and they decided to take 12 years to make a game?
I just said that they've been through this. CIG took 12 years to make a game. What, they gonna complain? That's what they just did. If they buy into it, if they see that it takes 8, they should be able to estimate, looking at this product based on what they did. They're taking their own history and saying, here's something, and they may come to Cloud Imperium and say, this is a great idea I have, but I think it's going to take 5 years. CAG may look at it and say, okay, we'll give you 5 to 7. I'm saying they have to take that knowledge that they've learned and apply it to this person who's coming in, because they've been through it. And see, I see you, fastcart. You're very reserved and want to play it safe.
I
but you don't make money. You don't make money. You don't make money being reserved and playing safe. You keep the money that's in your wallet. If you do this, nothing comes in. Okay? If you're an investor, you got to do that sometime. And all I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that they should do this or would. Me and fastcart just having fun saying, we know that they need to bring in money. And if we don't want that to fall on us, if we don't want it to fall on subscriptions, if it doesn't have to, we want to say, what are some cool things that they could do as a company that seem viable, that could help them sustain the company, sustain the games, and make sure that they're around 20 years from now and still, and even going longer than that. That's where we're going at with all this stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not feeling that one, but it's a possible.
Fastcart said, "Give me my piggy bank and take that hammer away from it. You're not taking my money. All right." He says, "You are not taking my money." Okay. Yeah, we got some questions, if I'm not mistaken. You want to check out the questions?
Yes, we do.
I think we've got some questions in there. Let's take a look at those.
So, you ready?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fire away.
Okay. So, Pop and Space asked, we talked about it. He asked it 2 hours ago, so we probably answered this question. But when the game launches, what kind of revenue do you envision? New ship, new 142 movie, cosmetics, and more. Yeah, we spent that was the whole show.
That was the show.
That was the whole show. So we already covered that one. Some parts to ask regarding subscription. Do you feel that they should have subscription that give paint and flair like now, but the game is always a one-time purchase? I'm not going to read that last one, but do you think that subscription you're paying for it like now, but the game is always a one-time purchase? So basically keeping the same model that is similar now, I guess. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay,
that's
cool.
fine. Yeah.
Oh,
what do you mean? Whoa. You can't edit people's questions in the show. The question was, when is FC going to give a giveaway?
No to 1 BMM. I'm assuming you're giving away 2 BMM. No. Hey, happy now. All right. Would it be better for CIG to always sell ships after Star Citizen out, or for Star Citizen go the way of Cover Space Program 2 out of business? Not like this. Okay.
Yeah, I think
that's more of a joke question.
Yeah, no, Shimpasta. Like I said, don't get me wrong. I know there are plenty of people who really feel that. I've heard people say CIG's money hungry. As long as they can sell ships, they will. I just think from a business standpoint, I think, and also to drive so that people will play the game to gain what they want, that they do need to at some point cut off the whole ship sales thing. Other than entry, like I said, for starter packages, premium packages, and concepts. That's my opinion. Fastcart may have a little bit different one than that, but I just think that it will make people say, "Ooh, that's such a cool ship. How do I get it? Can I buy it?" No, you can't buy it. You got to get it in the game. That to me is a better balance. And also for people who have gone through all of that and now have that, you're gonna feel a certain kind of way that you've got your ships now, right? And then the ones you want to earn in the game, you earn in the game. But for people coming in brand new,
you know what CIG could do? They could once the game launches, they could switch their model completely, and instead of a $3,000 javelin, it'll be $5 million, but it becomes an NFT instead of a
oh God, don't even go there. That's the last thing that people need to hear.
Next question is from CC Creator. Do you think CIG could seriously monetize live events as a major revenue, i.e. CitizenCon, tournaments, cruises, etc.?
Yeah.
They could. I don't know if they would.
I think
the question is, would they rather than could they?
The problem is that the problem with that is, Fastcart, all those events cost money to even do them.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You can take a hit. Like right now, they don't make a lot of money, if at all, any money off CitizenCon.
People complain now that the ticket was $300. In order to break even or make a profit, they'd have to charge maybe $500 per ticket.
Yeah, and even then you can get wishy-washy years. Like I heard BlizzardCon was not well attended this year, so I'm sure they may have taken a bath a little bit on that. They did have an event one year where people were able to get a tour of the studio in LA, but you had to pay to travel there, hotel, and then it was like $250 to come there and have a lunch. And there were only certain people, first of all, who did it. Secondly, there's only a very small demographic of people who will even be wanting to do that or have the liquidity to do the finances, I should say, to do something like that. So even though I understand the idea of these revenue ideas, I don't know. Now, you can get into some other things like esports and things like that maybe there's entry fees and stuff. But even then, CIG's been so big about people being able to do things in-game with in-game money. When you start introducing dollars, you start to sway the favor or access. Well, maybe the better word is access to people who aren't spending money. And that to me starts where it gets to be real hazy or can create some real problems later on.
Something we haven't covered is how about make a revenue stream for the next great starship, that contest. Remember that?
Yeah, but how does CIG make money off of that? I wish they would do another next great starship from the community, because technologies have grown so much and people have access to so much equipment now that they could come up with some really cool stuff. Yeah, and tools. But again, I don't know how that it doesn't bring in revenue for CIG because, one, they didn't have to build it. Two, metrics and stuff are locked in, so people could build ships around metrics, and now all they do is make money producing it. But you know, that depends on whether the ship is well liked, and there's a lot involved with that. Even though I think it's an interesting idea. Yeah. In order
the CIG can make money, in order to vote, you have to call in a certain number, and that number generates money for CIG.
Ooh, boy, y'all trying to get these folks worked up. Good googly moogly. You are really trying to get folks worked up. 99 cents per call, right? Oh Lord. You say they said no, not another redeemer. We'll end up with another redeemer. Yeah, that might be the byproduct of that. You're right. I don't know how well that would go either.
Yeah, Jade said, "Oh no, not that."
Yeah, I know. I'm like, yeah, Jade, I hear you. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting idea, you know. But let's say this before we wrap up the show. CIG has a lot of, contrary to people's beliefs, very smart people who are over there working. They're not trying to figure out how to do revenue today, y'all. They've thought about it way before today. And I'm sure they have foundations and groundwork already laid for the future of that company, how they will sustain themselves, even if Squadron 42 is not successful. They are not going to wait to see if Squadron 42 does a certain amount of sales and then determine whether or not their company is going to exist. That's something that would be foolish from a business standpoint. I'm sure they have numbers that says this is where we are if it doesn't do well. This is where we are if it does mediocrely or average. And this is where we are if it does very well. They have to map that out as a business. So I would say for those of you who are worried about it, I would say for now, it's the least of your worries. It's just something that for right now, I don't think that we have to put, don't get me wrong. It's a good question to ask, and there's nothing wrong with wondering about it. But I don't think that there's the doom and gloom apocalyptic cloud that some people want to say about this project based upon its successes or its failures at this time. Anything you want to say about that, fastcart?
No, I think we covered it. And we're running long on time anyway, so yeah, I think we're good. So thank you. All
right, no worries. Okay, let's talk about what we've got coming up in the next week, I think. Yeah, I gotta get the right button. Sorry. I hope I did put you on this page. I think I did. Yeah, there we go. Let's talk about what we got coming up.
Okay, so Thursday we have our show talk. We talked to our citizen community. Sorry, I was looking up who to raid. But you know, that's 9 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UTC. If you look it up to your local time zone, thank you very much. And you know, we have a grand old time. We are looking for more people to come in, because we have our regulars and bless them for coming in week after week. But we would love to hear from new voices. New voices are welcome to come in. So we know we cover ISG, Star Citizen Live, and This Week in Star Citizen. But this is your chance to talk about what you think is going on that week in Star Citizen. So come on over.
Awesome. And next Saturday, we didn't have Soul Voices yesterday because, as I mentioned earlier, we were at Equinox in Columbus, Ohio. But we will be back on next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for Soul Voices, our one-on-one conversations with things from Reddit and Spectrum and the gaming industry and the community. Hopefully you guys will be able to join us. There's a rumor out that the player haters may be sitting in next week. So if you want to come check that out, we hope that you guys will be here for that. They may be here. That's the rumor I heard, but we'll find out next week. So hopefully you guys will be able to tune in for that. And then next Sunday, we're doing a show entitled Where to Invade Next. There has been a lot of speculation in the community about where Star Citizen will be taking us once we go to Pyro. What systems will be available to us? Where will CIG place us next? We've heard a whole bunch of places. Some people say, oh, they only need 2 systems. They only need 3 systems. They only need 5 systems. Where are the 100 systems? We're going to be talking about that next week. Where do we think that CIG, when the game gets to what we call 1.0 commercial release, where do you think we will be? What systems will CIG pick? We're going to all have our own opinions and thoughts, and we're going to toss those out at you guys, and you can toss yours back at us, and we will talk about it. Where do we think we will invade next? Where will we be? That's going to be next Sunday. Hopefully you'll be able to join us at 7 p.m. Eastern time, where to invade next. Want to give a special thanks to fastcart for being here today. This is one of those shows where it's just he and I, and everybody else got a weekend to chill. Want to thank everybody who subscribed and followed and sent everything to us. You guys are always great and patient with us, and great comments in the chat today with our great speculation and our off numbers, our bad counting, all that stuff. Before we close out, we want to once again let folks know that for those of you who got here late, we found out on this weekend that one of our own team members passed away. Nomad 1701 passed away back in April. We had just gotten information on it, and hit us really hard, unexpected. Nomad was our newest member to join the group, and we will definitely miss him, even though his time with us was very short as a member of the Soul team. But he has been following us, I think, almost since day one. Nomad, once again, has just been seen all over the place, supporting so many of the content creators in the Star Citizen community. I remember seeing his name a zillion times on Yacht Club back in the day, of just supporting everybody financially, with his presence, with his information and knowledge. Big Star Trek fan who loves science fiction. He was even a streamer. A lot of people didn't know that about him, but he was also a streamer. And again, we're going to miss him. So we want to send our heartfelt love, prayers, condolences, and thoughts to his family. And again, we want to dedicate this show today specifically to Nomad for his contributions to this community. He's definitely going to be missed, and there's a little bit missing with him not being here with us. So we want to sign off for today. Thank you guys for hanging in for the extra time tonight. And as always, we want to tell you guys peace, love, and soul. Thank you guys for being here again. And yeah, that's all we're going to say. And because Nomad, I think we can say one more thing, fastcart. Live long and prosper. You guys take care.
Yeah.